I'm in your. I'm in your.
I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. What? Are you sure?
Bled all over me, bled in my bed. She also pissed on my floor, marked her territory the way animals do.
Kept thinking I could never live without you by my side.
Didn't matter if she was outside all day. When she pulled them panties down, I never smelled anything on her, never.
But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong.
Infestation followed her. My bedroom was infested with bed bugs.
And I grew strong, and I learned how to get along.
Job knew that God still loved him while he was letting the devil torment him, but that don't mean Job wanted to go through it. You ain't never been to war.
So about 2 years ago, me and my wife had been married just under 2, maybe 3 years. We were still kind of fresh in marriage, man, and we had hit that point to where we was questioning whether we, really wanted to be together, not fighting every day, man. Things were hectic. And we ended up separating. Homie. I ain't want nothing to do with her. She ain't want nothing to do with me. I hated her. She hated me. And we meant that. So I was at my mama's house in Georgia, and I was driving from Georgia back to base in North Carolina. So as I'm driving back home, I'm praying. I'm praying out loud to God, and I'm crying. I'm crying because, the woman I had got on one knee for, and the woman that I had kids with, and the woman that I vowed to be with forever was the woman that I had just gave up on. I told God out of my mouth that I no longer wanted this woman. I hate this woman. You can take this woman back. I don't care what happens. I don't want to be with that woman. And the moment I said that, I got a Snapchat from this woman, and I do mean the moment I said I am done. We was on Snap, homie, so I checked out her page, man, and she was this, this pretty little petite Hispanic thing, long hair and all of that, but I ain't paying no mind, homie. What stood out to me was how she, presented herself. She spoke so eloquently, and she spoke as if she had some sense, and, I'm a sucker for good conversation, homie. So she was in the same city I was in. I enjoyed conversation with her, and I was already going out that weekend, so I just invited her, dog. She said cool, so fast forward, man, the day comes, I come and pick her up. So we in the restaurant home, and she keep doing this thing where she just staring at my hand. She picks up my hand, she look at my rings, she look at my watches, and she just keeps staring at the palm of my hand. And I keep asking her, like, hey, what you doing? And she just looks at me, and she just like, nothing. So, homie, we leave the restaurant, and we getting ready to head to the theater. So before we leave the restaurant, there was a box of chalk on the side of the restaurant that I didn't see. Don't know how the hell she knew it was there, but she gets it, and she writes my name on the sidewalk and her name in pink chalk, and she circles it. My name plus her name, like we was a couple, and she circles it. Now, I should have knew something was up, but men are stupid, and I ain't gonna lie back. In that moment, I was a dumbass. She was telling me, giving me red flags, but I wasn't paying attention. What I didn't know in that moment, dog, is that she had casted a spell on me. When she was tracing the inside of my palms, and she wrote our names in pink chalk on that sidewalk and circled it, she had put a spell on me. Now, the stuff that happens next, homie, is truly where it gets crazy. Where truly the meat and potatoes of the story is, homie, and things get truly crazy, man. But this is only part 1 of the story. There'll be a part 2, maybe a part 3, and a part 4 until the whole entire story is told completely, because I'm gonna get it all off my chest. But tune into this one and stand by for the next one. So this is part 2 to my experience with witchcraft. I'm gonna jump right into it. So after the date, I take her home, I go home, I go to sleep. I woke up the next morning, homie, and all I could think about was that woman. Now keep in mind, she tried to have sex with me after the date, but I told her I don't have sex on the first date. I ain't that type of man. Fast forward, about a week later, man, it's become unbearable. I feel like I'm losing my mind, homie. So I text Shawty and I said, hey, I want to see you again. I'm going to pull up on you tonight. And I want you to come sit in the car with me. We just going to chop it up. And I've really been thinking about you. So fast forward, homie, we link up. We in my car. I look that woman dead in her eyes and I tell the girl, I don't know what it is about you, but I've been thinking about your ass for a week straight and I gotta have you. I want you and everything that come with you. So we got to kissing after that, homie, and you already know what happened next. Fast forward, we just finishing up and my phone ring. It's my mama, she calling me. Me and my phone is connected to the car, so when the phone rang, me and her both heard it. So I told her it's my mama, hey, I gotta answer this. She kisses me on the cheek and says, it's okay, talk to your mama. She puts her clothes on, she says, I'll see you later. She gets out of the car and goes on. So I put my clothes back on and I answer the phone and my mama says, son, what are you doing? Now keep in mind it's 11 o'clock at night, so she don't call this late unless something wrong, so I'm already nervous. So when she asked me that, I just paused. Me and my mama had a very blunt, open, and honest relationship. So I told her, Mom, can I tell you something? She said, yeah. I said, remember that girl I told you about? Me and her just got done having sex. She tells me, I know. That's why I'm calling you. God been talking my ear off about you all night. I can't even go to sleep and get a peaceful rest because he keep telling me to get your son, get your son. My mother proceeds to tell me I don't know who this woman is, but I have a really, really bad feeling. But you're a grown man, you're gonna do what you do. Just know that I'm disappointed in you. I still love you. Good night, bye. After that conversation with my mother, I did feel bad. I sat in the vehicle and I thought about what I had just did and what she had just said. But then I realized just how much I hated my wife in that moment. How much I hated her for what she had done to me, what she had said to me, and the things she was still doing to me. And I said, man, fuck it. It'll be alright. So I woke up, homie, and now the urges are even stronger. It's to the point to where I have migraines. This time she came over my crib. Soon as she walked through the door, she know why she there. I know why she there, so we get straight to it, homie. About 4 hours later, she laying on my chest and she grabbed my hand again. And she traced the inside of my palm. And she balled my hand up like this right here. And she closed her eyes and she mumbled something. And then she unclenched my fist. And I asked her, I said, what you doing? She looked at me yet again and she said, nothing. And she just laid on my chest and just started smiling. So after this, homie, we became somewhat official. She started coming over the house every night after I got off of work. We doing what we doing, homie, and the sex just keep getting crazier and crazier and crazier and wilder. So after that, homie, she comes over the next day and we get to it. So she gets on top of me and, we doing what we doing, and all of a sudden it felt weird. I look down, homie, and there's blood all over my motherfucking lap and all over my dick and shit. Her goddamn period came on in the middle of us having sex, homie. So she notices and she gets up and the blood just dripping all over my shit. Blood got on my white sheets, blood got all over my damn dick. She hopping up, she got blood on my floor, went to the bathroom and cleaned herself up, man. She said, hey, I feel bad, give me your sheets, I'll wash your sheets for you. So she gets my sheets and she leaves and she says, I'm sorry, I'm washing sheets and I'll bring them back later. She leaves, I go lock the door, I check out the bathroom. There's blood all over my floor, there's blood all over my light switch, there's blood all over my toilet, there's blood all in my trash can. What I did not know back then is that sex on your period is ritualistic sex. Any witch knows that your menstrual blood is a different type of blood because it carries life. So when she was having sex with me and all that blood was all over me, she was casting spells, homie. I did not know in the moment, but I know now. She marked me by getting blood on my dick. She marked my bed by getting blood on my bed. She marked my floor by getting blood on the floor. She marked my bathroom. Homie, the light switch had a handprint on it. It looked like she was doing this shit intentionally. It looked like she was going throughout the house and marking the house with her hands intentionally, homie. So I had never dealt with nothing like this before or seen anything like this before, but I'm an understanding human being, so I didn't make a big deal about it. So she comes back over home and she brings me my sheets and we do what we do, and she went to sleep. So while she was asleep, I felt stuff biting me. It felt like my skin was on fire. So I'm ooching around trying to figure out what the fuck going on. I lift up and I got bugs biting me, homie. I got little bugs biting me. They were bed bugs. So I'm thinking to myself, I know damn well this girl ain't bring me no bed bugs, homie. Fast forward the next day, the bugs had doubled and tripled. I'm getting eaten alive in my own bedroom, homie. This girl had them brought me what seemed to be a fucking plague. First you put this shit on me at the restaurant. You put this shit on me during sex. You bleed all over me and mark my fucking house. And now there's a plague of bed bugs in my fucking bedroom. Eat my ass alive. Safe to say that I'm losing my motherfucking mind. Fast forward, I got rid of the damn mattress. I bring in another one. She comes over, we get drunk, and we end up, doing what we doing. Fast forward, we wake up the next morning. She kisses me, she leaves. I get up and inspect the house, and I notice that there's a wet spot on the floor. So I look down like, what the hell is this? And I start smelling this smell of piss. So I got down on my hands and knees and I smelt the floor, and sure enough, it was piss. Now I know goddamn well I didn't pee on the floor, and it was only me and her in the house. So I called her and asked her about it. She says, no, I didn't piss on the floor. But it's only me and her in the house. So it had to be her. I know I didn't piss on the floor. So she marked my house with blood. Then she pissed on my goddamn floor. She putting spells on me and she brought me fucking bed bugs. But wait, it gets worse. She comes over the next motherfucking day. We do what we do. And now she's asleep and I'm seeing something in the corner watching me while I sleep. I can't sleep because there's a shadow figure in the corner watching us. Homie, I can feel the evil intent. And I can visibly see this thing standing in the corner of my room watching us. It ain't moving, it ain't saying nothing, it's just watching us. I'm gonna end it right here and come back on part 3 and tell you how it really get crazy, homie. So this is part 3 or chapter 3 to my testimony dealing with witchcraft. We're gonna name this chapter The Devil's Grip. So I'm seeing stuff in my bedroom, so I obviously know that there is something demonic going on. And a lot of y'all probably wondering why you keep having sex with the girl, why you keep letting her in. The answer is simple. I didn't think that she was putting anything on me. I thought that I was too grounded to have anything put on me. I thought that my defense was impenetrable, and because I believed in God, couldn't nothing hurt me. But here's the thing. I was all filled up with hate. I had so much hate towards my wife that I had to open the door for the devil. But I ain't no fool. I felt like something was going on, and I'm familiar with witchcraft, so I just asked her one day, did she put anything on me? To my surprise, homie, the girl looked me in my eyes and told me, yeah, I put a reflection spell on you. She said, I put one on you at the restaurant, and I put one on you after we had sex, and I put spells on you during sex. So, me being flabbergasted, I asked her why. This girl looked me dead in my eyes, homie, and said, because I am obsessed with you. So I ain't never had nobody tell me this before, so I don't know really how to take it, but I take it with a grain of salt because, a lot of females, they over-exaggerate. I'm still thinking she over-exaggerating at this point, not knowing this girl dead serious. So I asked her why. Why are you obsessed with me? She says, because you teach me things. That's all she said. Well, I asked her what was a reflection spell. And she said a reflection spell is when I put something on you to make you feel exactly how I feel. It was essentially a spell that conjoined us two. So I felt what she felt and she felt what I felt. So a lot of times when I felt those crazy thoughts and things like that, they were hers. So whenever you do a spell and you join two people together, homie, it is so dangerous, especially when the other person has mental health issues. This girl had bipolar disorder, she had depression, she had severe anxiety, and she drank a lot. So whenever she was drunk, I felt drunk. Whenever she was high, I felt high. So there would be random times in the day where I just start feeling dizzy and my lips are numb and things like that. And I text her and I ask her, are you drinking? She'd tell me, yeah. How do you know? And I tell her, I feel you. There would be times after we argue and she'd start crying. And I'd text her and ask her, are you crying? And she'd say, yeah. Ask me how I know, because I feel you. So you can only imagine what she did when I started to pray. When I got on my knees and I started to pray to God, it felt like somebody was inside of my head ripping my mind apart. This girl heard my prayers, homie, so I couldn't even go to God. I couldn't even go to God and ask him to get this mess off of me, because I had this girl somewhat standing in between me and God. When I prayed to him, she was there, and she made sure that my prayers didn't go to him. Whenever I would open my mouth to try to pray, it felt like I was on fire. It felt like somebody was ripping my head apart, man. It's the best way I can describe it. So I never got a chance to finish any of my prayers because she always disrupted them. And peep this here, homie. Whenever she entered my home, she always had to have permission. Back then, I didn't think anything of it, but afterwards, I realized what it was. All demons and all spirits need permission to do anything in your life. In order for a spirit to wreak any havoc in your life, you have to be in agreement with it. So whenever she came to my house, she would stand at the door until I invited her in. I always said, come in. I always said, you can come in. Whenever she would come in my room, and she would never get in my bed unless I told her, you can get in my bed. She would always stand right by the bed. She would never get in the bed. She would never sit on the couch. I would always have to tell her, you can sit down, you can come in, you can get in the bed. She needed permission, and that was me coming into agreement with the damn demon, and I didn't even know it. So anyway, I'm losing my mind, homie. The urges are still there. They get more and more intense by the day. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing weight. I'm not eating. I'm not sleeping. And by the way, the bed bugs came back. They were now in the new mattress, and they were worse than ever. I'm being eaten alive. This girl is tormenting me, and I can't go to God, homie. I ain't never been in a situation where I couldn't go to God. I can't pray because this girl is between me and God. So I confront this girl and I tell her, hey, I'm not okay with what you put on me. Like I've been seeing this stuff. I got this going on. I don't like this. It's not cool. She says, I can take it off. I say, nah, man, I don't want you doing nothing else. I'll take care of it. Just don't put anything else on me. This is not cool. I don't like it. And I tell her I'm done with you. And I leave. Of course the urges got stronger. Of course I couldn't sleep. Of course them bed bugs got worse. To have your free will taken from you is one of the worst things you can ever have as a human being. Whenever I told this woman no, it's almost like she cranked up the volume in a electric chair and she just shocked my brain until I did what she wanted. That's exactly what it felt like. So eventually I gave in and I went to go see her. And I asked her, what now? I told her I would give her a chance to explain herself, and that's why I was here. This girl looked at me and said, no, you ain't. You are here because I manifested you here. And I looked at her and I said, nah, I'm here because I want to be here, and I'm here because I need some answers. She looked at me and she laughed. She said, okay, talk. We speak. She apologizes to me and she continues to explain why she put what she put on me. She continues to tell me before she met me, before we went out to eat, she had a vision about me and her, that me and her met and that me and her would be happy together. She says she saw a black wall with my name and her name in pink chalk with a heart around it. Remember in part 1 of the story, after the restaurant, she wrote our names on the sidewalk in pink chalk and drew a heart around it, the same way she saw in the vision. So she brought the vision to life when she manifested on the sidewalk on the first date, and I didn't even know it. So I called my wife, man, and I told her what was going on because I was scared. And I told her I need some help. She knew people who knew how to get that type of stuff off of me, but she hated me too. So it took some convincing, and I was messing with this girl, you know what I'm saying? So she didn't want to hear too much of what I had to say, but she still loved me, so she helped me. She put me in contact with this lady named Elle. Elle did a reading, and she confirmed that the girl was in fact putting witchcraft on me, and the girl was using dark magic. And she told me, quote unquote, she is an entity. This girl is an entity. And that she was a powerful enchantress and magician. And that she was very, very gifted in the occult. And that her spirit guides were very, very dark and they loved her. And they would do anything for her. So at this point, I'm scared, man. I can't pray. And that's unlike me, because I'm going to pray. I can't pray. This demon is in my house, homie, and I can't get her out because every time I tell her no, She cranks up the volume and runs me crazy, man. So I gotta give her what she wants. So the people that kept asking why I kept having sex with her, it's because that's what she wanted. She initiated sex every time, homie. Every time. And I tried to tell her no. I did. I told her no multiple times. I even tried to make it seem like I needed to fast. Because I fast twice a month. Without sex, I do. I fast twice a month, and I was trying to do that with her, and her thing would always be, I want some, I gotta have you. She had to keep that connection strong, homie. And the connection was formed through sex. And she would tell me things like, I feel you the strongest through sex. I can read you when you inside of me. And she would sit down on it, and she would draw like these patterns on my chest. And she put more spells on me. She would grab my hands, put more spells on me. And when I refused, she'd crank up the volume. It was almost like I was her puppet. So at this point, I'm fighting to stay away from her. I would leave her and come back 4-5 times a doggone month, man, because I'm trying to get away. But I'm not gonna lie, dog, her witchcraft was strong. Plus, she had everything she needed. I was hitting her raw. I was nutting in her. I had done ate her. She had done swallowed my semen. She had everything she needed to do whatever she wanted to. Let's not forget to mention the blood she marked in my house, the piss she put in my house. Let's not forget she bled all over me. And she would tell me every day about how obsessed that she was with me. And it's crazy, homie, because the more she told me, the more I believed her. So I couldn't pray. I couldn't leave her alone. I did not know what to do. So I went home to my mama. Next chapter, chapter 4, Mama. So homie, this is the interlude to part 4. This is not part 4, this is just an interlude to it because there are some things that I need to explain to y'all. I see a lot of y'all in the comments asking the same question, why you keep sleeping with her, why you won't leave, this and that. It ain't crossed your mind that I want to leave, it ain't crossed your mind that I'm trying to leave. That's not the way witchcraft work, homie. You don't get to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Kind of remind me when I was in the Marine Corps. You do what the fuck you're told when you're told. When a person is casting spells on you, they are manipulating your energy. They are manipulating your free will. So me wanting to leave was not an option when she wanted me to stay. I did not want to have sex with her, but she wanted to have sex, so we had sex. And whenever I tried to resist, there was physical consequences. I grew physically ill. I lost weight, migraines all day, and a whole lot of misfortune. Somebody hacked my bank, somebody broke into my car. My money was all fucked up. Evil a lot of times masquerades as the innocent. It masquerades as kindness, as love. So a lot of what this woman did, she did subtly. She did it over time. This entire ordeal lasted over a year. So she had plenty of time to do whatever the hell she wanted. And this was my first time having anything put on me. I did not know what to do. I did not know how to fight it. I was suicidal. I was depressed. I was full of anxiety. I was sick as hell. I was losing weight. And I felt more disconnected from God than I ever had in my life. So with that being the case, there's a few key words that I want y'all to know before y'all watch part 4. The first word is twin flame. Go and look that up and do a little research on it before you watch part 4. The second term is karmic soulmate. Go do some research on that before you watch part 4. And number 3, look up the definition of magic because a lot of y'all don't seem to understand how it works. It's all about belief and intent. And also, I'm going to be putting this entire series on YouTube so y'all can go and watch it because some of y'all are telling me that y'all can't see the videos for whatever reason. This TikTok be tripping sometimes. My YouTube is the same as my TikTok, Roi C Gilmore. It's also the same as my Snapchat, Facebook, and all of that. So if you want to follow me, you can. So with that being the case, part 4 is coming right after this. Enjoy it. Leave your comments underneath. And I want to thank y'all for tuning in with me and giving me a means to express myself and get this off my chest. So this is part 4 to my witchcraft testimony. I'm going to jump right into it. So I drove down to my mama's house in Georgia from North Carolina. It's like a 5-6 hour drive. The girl did not want me to go. So I get home to my mama's house and I immediately tell her what's going on. I go in her room, I sit beside her bed, and I tell her what this girl had been doing to me. Me and my mother had a very open relationship, so I was telling her everything we had done did, from all the sex to the witchcraft to all of it. So she knew everything. Man, I wasn't even 5 minutes into the story before she went and grabbed her anointing oil, And she put that oil in her hand and hit me like that right there. Instantly went into prayer, speaking in tongues, casting the demons out. She got done praying. I told her thank you, and she proceeded to tell me how she was disappointed in my decisions, and she told me that God said that this was gonna happen, and how she told me I need to listen to her and always listen to your mama. And I'm like, I know. So here's the crazy part. The further I got away from that girl, the better I felt. And after my mama got done praying over me, I felt even better. So after that, my wife comes over with the kids. Now, we ain't talking. We just cutting eyes at each other and making faces. I wasn't trying to get no stuff started, man, but I just want to talk to her, see how she's doing. So after my mama prayed over me and after I sat and spoke with my wife, the girl started acting funny. Me and her ended up getting into an argument. I cussed her out, told her deuces. I ain't gonna lie, homie, I had this distance in between me and this girl. I got to get prayed over by my mama. I got to see my kids, and I thought I didn't want to see her, but I was glad to see my wife. Of course, I didn't tell my wife that, but I damn sure felt it. Fast forward, it's nighttime. My wife went home. She took the kids with her. I'm laying in the bed at my mama's house. My wife is in the bed at her house, 2 hours away. I've been seeing spirits since I was a child, so I know how to deal with spirits. I know what to do when something demonic enters the room. I know how to pray it away. I know how to do all of that. So I feel something enter the room, but it's weird because I smell this woman and I feel this woman. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and to my surprise, I look up and I see a shadow figure standing over me that's shaped exactly like her. It smells like her, it feels like her. Now I'm scared because I know it's her. But I'm not, because I've fought off demons before. So I start praying. But as I'm praying, this thing, it feels like it's trying to slide into my spirit. This whatever this was, it felt like it was trying to sit inside of my body. It felt like it was trying to sit right here in my stomach. I prayed it away the first time. I'd be damned if this thing ain't come back. Tried to do the exact same thing, sit right here in my stomach. It felt like it was trying to move inside of my body and push my spirit out in a sense of inhabiting my vessel. That's the best way I can describe it. So I rebuked it away the second time, but the second time it fought a little harder to stay. So after I rebuke it, man, I jump up, I'm sweating, I'm breathing all heavy, I'm half crazy in the head. I feel that feeling again, homie. She's somewhere cutting up that volume. The urges start, I'm feeling all crazy. This thing just tried to enter my body. Lo and behold, my wife calls me. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, homie. My wife calls me. She crying and she's scared out of her mind. And she says, something just tried to attack me. Something dark and malevolent. It's the darkest thing I have ever felt in my life. So I'm scared because I'm thinking, okay, this girl came for me and then she came for my wife. My wife tells me I'm finna go to God and see what that was and who that was. If it's that woman trying to get to me because of you, I'm gonna knock your ass out. So sure enough, she calls me back a couple hours later and she tells me it was her. Deep down, I already knew it was her, but I didn't want to believe it. My wife was 38 hot and I couldn't blame my homie. So I waited till the morning time to call the girl. She picks up and I ask her what was she doing last night about 3 o'clock. She tells me that she was drunk. She said that after I broke up with her, she got drunk and she fell asleep in the shower. Now, the connection me and her had was still there, but it wasn't as strong. So of course I felt her that previous night. Of course I felt her drunk. Of course I felt her anger. She was 38 hot. So I was not surprised at all when she sent whatever she sent to me. So what y'all don't know is that my wife and I are twin flames and we are both very gifted spiritually. So when the girl sent something to her, she did a return to sender times 10. I asked the girl, had she sent anything to my wife? She told me no. I asked her if she sent anything to me. She told me no. Now obviously she was lying because I knew she sent something for me. It smelled like her, it looked like her, it was shaped like her, it felt like her. Come on. Fast forward, it's time for me to go back home, man. I drive back to North Carolina. Give me when I tell you, man, as soon as I crossed the border of North Carolina, all of that trauma and all of that shit that I was avoiding when I left North Carolina, it cut back on, homie. It's like the closer I got to her, the stronger the connection got. And the stronger the connection got, the weaker I got. I fought her for about 3 weeks, man. and she was cutting up that volume the whole 3 weeks, but I was in so much pain, so I didn't want to have her in my house. So I told her to meet me at the park instead. I figured she can't put no more stuff in my house if I ain't got her ass there. So we met at the park. So we go to the park and she keep looking at my hands. I put my hands in my goddamn pocket. I say, damn you ain't doing nothing else to me. This goddamn girl looked at me and said, I don't need to touch you to do anything to you. I have everything I need. And truth be told, she was right. Then she proceeds to tell me that she went to the doctor because she had missed her period and she was doing a whole lot of bleeding. Long story short, she had a miscarriage. She was pregnant. I ain't gonna lie to you, dog. I cussed her ass out for not telling me that she was pregnant. What I didn't know was that prior to her coming to meet me at the park, she had did a honey love jar spell. It's when you take a jar and you fill it up with all type of sweets, honey, cinnamon, sugar, whatever the case is, syrup. And the sweeter the jar is, the sweeter the person is on you. So you take all of that, you put the person's name on it or whatever the case is, and you put your intent on it, and it'll make that person sweet on you. And I know this because the night prior to that, my wife had a dream where she went into the woman's home. God allowed her to go into the woman's home and see what she was up to. She saw her altar. She saw the jar with the liquid inside of it. She saw my name and her name on a sheet of paper nailed to the wall with black coffin nails. And of course, my wife called me later on that night and told me about everything she had saw. Now, one thing about this woman, she was very, very, very good at manipulation. She was the smoothest talker I have ever met in my life. She was submissive. She apologized when she was wrong. She was forgiving. She was loving. And she was really, really good at making you think what she wanted you to think. And what she wanted me to think was that she was sorry for putting spells on me, and she was sorry for hurting me, and that she would never do it again. That, along with that honey love jar spell, it worked the way she wanted to work. Fast forward, we over the house and she laying in the bed. 3 o'clock in the morning, I feel something walk in. It walked in, got in the bed, and sat in the middle of me and her. I look up and I saw nothing, but I felt the weight of a person sitting on my bed. It wasn't a fully grown person, it felt like the weight of a child. Long story short, she wakes up, I wake up. I asked her if she felt something walk in the room, she said yes. I asked her if she felt something sat on the bed, she said yes. So whatever this was that was in the room, it was tapping me consistently. It was tapping me and it was calling her. But when it was calling her, it was calling her mama. By the time me and her woke up, it was gone. It didn't take us long to come to the conclusion that this spirit was the baby that she had lost. Fast forward, next night, the child comes back. This time she sees the child. She describes the child as having my complexion, my eyes, her hair, and being a little boy. And the child told her his name. So moving forward, whenever the child came back, that's what we referred to him as. I'm not gonna say the name because quite frankly, I don't know if it was the child or a damn demon masquerading as a child, and I ain't trying to give it no power. So a couple of weeks go by, man, and I don't know what happened, but this girl, she did a complete 180, man. She was the most sweetest, submissive, humble female I had ever met. It's like she was perfect almost. She was a completely different woman, homie, one that I would have potentially dealt with. Then my wife calls me. My wife has been in a car accident. She got knocked off the road and she ran into a tree, totaled the car, and almost lost her damn life. She called me scared out of her mind, and she tells me that there was something supernatural about it. That the woman that hit her, there was no way she could not see her. Long story short, the girl had put a spell on my wife and caused her to have an accident. She tried to kill her. Part 5 is coming next. So, this is my testimony with witchcraft being put on me, part 5. I'm gonna jump right into it. Let's go. So, my wife got in the accident. She was T-boned. She totaled the car, she ran into a tree, but there was no significant damage done to her. Now, at this point, homie, I'm nervous and I'm kind of scared because she done potentially tried to kill my wife, but I need to get some answers and I'm desperate. So I need to get some answers from this girl to learn how to break this spell. So I don't invite her over. I go over to her crib instead. Now during this time, she was staying in a hotel because She was supposed to move into this crib, but the lady didn't have the house ready, so they put her in a hotel, and that's where she was staying until her crib was ready. Now keep in mind, the girl had been behaving for the last few weeks, man, but I still had my guard up. I still wasn't, taking no chances like that. During this whole phase was me trying to figure things out. So I'm trying to outsmart her. I'm trying to fast with her, trying to get her to fast with me so we can break this connection of sex. I'm trying to get her to pray with me to see if she's willing to go to God. I'm also trying to get her to tell me who is it that she's working with or working for. Whether it's an angel or a demon, what's the name of the angel, what's the name of the demon. So I'm trying to get information out of her. So I go to the hotel one night, man. We sitting up, we chopping it up, we sat down and we spoke. So I asked her, why did she love me? Why, what made her think that she was in love with me? My mama told me that when you love something that you die for it. So I asked her, would she die for me? She thought about it for a little minute and she looked at me and she said, yes, I would die for you. But dying for something is easy. I want to live for you. Like, frankly, homie, I ain't never had a woman tell me something as sweet and profound as that. So I didn't really show it, but in my heart, I was like, damn, that's deep. So after that, homie, we started chilling, man, and she looked over and gave me that look. I already know what time it is. Keep in mind, the witchcraft and the love spells are very much still active, homie. On top of her doing honey love jar spells every time I come over. So everything was sweet, everything felt sweet, so she was getting what she wanted. So she ended up getting what she wanted, man. About 5 minutes into it, though, she locks up. Her whole body freezes up, and she starts to stare off in the corner. And she starts to shake like she's never shook before. I'm thinking she having an orgasm, but nah, man, this was different. She was scared. Paralyzed with fear, she fell off to the side on the bed, balled up in the fetal position, and started to shake and cry. I'm thinking that she having a mental breakdown or some type of PTSD that kicked in from her past. So I just grabbed her and I started holding her and I started trying to, talk to her and console her. Because she keep looking in this corner, homie. She keep looking in the corner as if there's something standing over there or say that there's something there. And it's this dark, eerie feeling in the room, homie, and I ain't gonna lie to you, dog, I'm scared. So I hold her for a few moments, man, and she finally opens up and tells me what's wrong. This girl tells me, homie, that there was something standing in the corner, watching her. Something that had been stalking her since she had been a child that she hasn't seen since she was a child. She described this thing as being black with a yellow smile and yellow eyes and always smiling. And she just staring at the corner in the room. And I'm looking up, homie, I don't see anything, but the crazy part about it is that I felt it there. I felt it, but I didn't see it. And I didn't want to see it. So she proceeds to tell me a little bit about her past and a little bit about her trauma. Her mother had died when she was young. I don't know if it was during childbirth or whether it was a drug overdose. Her father was in prison and he was gay. He was in prison for kicking a pregnant woman in the stomach. I don't know if he killed her or the baby, but he was in prison. And her grandmother was the one that taught her witchcraft. Her mother left her in a burning building when she was younger, and the house burned down with her in it. So she had PTSD and she would shake in the middle of her sleep, and she would start sweating, reliving that trauma of being left in the fire when she was a baby every night. So they took her to foster care, and you already know what happened there. Her first foster parent held a gun under her chin and raped her. The second one that she moved to, they locked her up in the basement. They kept her handcuffed in the basement in the dark. And of course they was raping her. After that, that's when her grandmother stepped in and took her in and she taught her witchcraft. She also told me that in her last marriage, which she was in for 7 years, homie, that it ended because her husband whooped her ass while she was pregnant and killed their unborn child. She gave birth to a stillborn child, homie. So on top of all the other trauma she done fucking already went through, she got to give birth to a dead kid, homie. So she shot him. They both ended up doing time behind that. Her for shooting him, and him for putting his goddamn hands on and killing their fucking kid. Now, after hearing all this shit, homie, I'm just sitting here listening and thinking, boy, what in the fuck you done got yourself into? So it explained why her magic was so strong, why she was so deeply rooted in hatred, because she had plenty of reasons to hate motherfuckers. When you go through that type of trauma, homie, there's a certain amount of emptiness that's left inside of you. And she told me that after she got raped, that's when she started seeing the demon. And I told her that the man that raped you, he dropped that demon off with you. And you've been carrying that demon with you that he's dropped off with you via sex. I honestly thought that demon was a manifestation of all her trauma. And I think that it scared her because it was a reflection of her trauma, or a reflection of her spirit, to be honest with you. So either way, I finally calmed her down. Later on, we go to sleep. Tell me why around 3 o'clock in the morning, I feel something approach me. Like I said, though, I can feel spirit, so I feel something approach me. Before I can open my eyes, something mushed me in my face like this, hard as hell, and said, leave. I jump up out my sleep, homie. I'm scared, my heart jumping all fast, I'm fucked up, and I'm looking around. And in my head, I'm like, I know what that was. This thing want me gone, I ain't gonna argue, I ain't gonna fight, I ain't gonna fuss. Homie, I got up, started putting my shoes on, man. She rolled over, was like, where you going? I said, I just thought about something, I gotta get back to the crib. So now I'm learning things about her. I'm getting enough information to kind of know what I'm dealing with and know how to kind of defeat this thing or how to go about breaking this bond with me and her. I tried to stay home and just talk to her, but of course she cranked the volume up. Half crazy and in pain, I went over there. She facing me, my back is towards the door. Tell me why little mama lock up again, freeze up again, and she staying right behind me this time. I look at her and I say, girl, what do you see? I promise you, homie, this girl looks at me and says, it's standing right behind you. So boy, obviously, at this point, I'm shaking like a little stripper, and I'm nervous, damn near finna shit myself. But I remember what my mama taught me, so I started praying. Before I could start praying, she looked at me and said, it's gone. I look over my shoulder hesitantly like, do I really want to see what might have been here or feel what may have been here? Hell no. So I'm getting ready to leave, man, but before I leave, she tells me that each time she see it, it's getting closer and closer to me, and that it does not want me with her, and that it only came twice in her life, once with her ex-husband and then one time with me. So in my head, I'm like, this sounds like a spirit wife or a spirit husband. It's protective over her. Anybody that gets close to her tries to destroy her relationships. It's okay if we just fucking, but if she falls in love, it's an issue. Another thing come to mind is maybe she a black widow. Everything that she get involved with love-wise, she kills or she destroys, like that woman in the movie Eve's Bayou. Then I'm thinking maybe it's just a regular spirit that's attached to this woman that has grown fond of her. Maybe it's a monitoring spirit. Or maybe it's just a reflection of her inner fucked up world. Either way, I had something to go off of. So now I went to my mother, I went to my auntie, and I went to my wife, and I told them what I had saw, what I thought it was, and I got their opinions on it. They couldn't give me a definite answer, but one thing that they all agreed upon is that it sounded just like a spirit husband. A spirit husband is just like what it sounds. It is a spirit, a demon that's attached to you, that is somewhat in a spiritual marriage with you. It is super protective, and it is very stingy with you. It don't want you being in love with nobody or doing anything outside of it. Spirit spouses are obsessive, clingy, manipulative, and they will fuck your world up. Part 6 coming next. So this is part 6 of my witchcraft testimony. I'm gonna jump right into it. So this spirit spouse is involved now. The spirit spouse don't want me present, and I don't want to be present either. It only allows her to have sex with me but not be in love with me. So she begins to treat me like shit. So obviously I cuss out till I'm done with her. Of course she started coming with the honey love jar spells and then sweetening all the things up. Each time I left that woman, I resisted to come back a little bit more and a little bit more. Now the thing about witchcraft, homie, is unpredictable. You don't never know what's gonna happen, homie. Wake up one morning, my whole body's sore. I got headaches, I can barely move. I feel like I'm dying. Turns out I got COVID. So on top of these wicked dreams I'm having about this woman, strictly sexual dreams, and feel like she turning my head inside out, now I have COVID. Eventually I give in, she hit my line, she say, hey, I wanted to stop by and bring you some soup. I know you're sick. I wanted to bring you some soup and I wanted to bring you some ginger ale for your stomach and some medicine. But I tell her, hey, you can only drop the food off. I have COVID. I don't want to get you sick. You got kids. I don't want to get them sick, get them kids sick. So please just drop it off. You can leave it at the door. She says, okay, but I miss you. I just want to lay beside you. Keep in mind, love draw spells are very much active on top of whatever else she put on me. So she comes and gets under the cover with me. She laying beside me and she keeps shuffling under the covers. So I'm looking at her like, man, what the hell this girl doing under this cover? So I pull back the covers. This girl done got butt naked under the covers on me. All her clothes off, and of course she climbed on top of me and she trying to have sex with me. So I'm telling her, I have COVID. COVID done killed people before. I don't want to get you sick. So she tells me to just lay there. We ain't got to kiss, just let me do my thing. So this girl begins to have sex with me, homie. And I ain't gonna lie to you, dog. I felt absolutely disgusting. I got COVID, man. I really don't feel good. I got a headache. I can't taste none. I can't smell none. My body's so all over. So in the middle of it, this girl leans forward and begins to tongue kiss me, homie, while I have COVID. So she gets done and she leaves. Tell me why a couple days later, she tests positive for COVID. And all 3 of her kids test positive for COVID. She gonna call me and say, yeah, I tested positive this morning. The kids tested positive too. Her homegirl in the background talking about something. Well, girl, at least he gave you COVID and not an STD. I ain't gonna lie to you, homie. I was pissed off and I was disgusted because them kids were too young to have COVID, homie. And anything could have happened. And she blatantly risked her life and them kids' life for a couple of nuts. So now she has a reason to come over the house. I'm sick and she's sick. Having COVID ain't an excuse no more. So she come back to the crib later that night and she sit on it. And she locks up again, but this time she like, I can't feel you. I can't connect to you. Something ain't right. I feel blocked. She starts asking me what have I been doing and who I've been talking to. So I'm looking at her like, what you mean? She tells me usually when you inside of me, I can feel you. I can see everything about you, and now it's blocked. I told her, don't worry about it. It's nothing. So she obviously pissed off and she got her guard up. And she keep moving around, while I'm inside her trying to adjust so she can read me or whatever the case is, but she can't see anything. So she hops off and she looks at my hands. I snatch my hands away from her like, nah, we ain't doing that again, shawty. She kind of looks at me with this nasty look like, how dare you? So obviously we get into it. We get into an argument. We fight. She leaves. This girl slams my door, gets in the car, and skirts off in the parking lot in a rage, homie. She was hot. So, homie, when she left, and I remember this specifically because it was on a Wednesday, I was finally able to hear the voice of God again, man, and I was so happy. His exact words were, her karma begins now. That night, God began to minister to me. So I had a vision that her father had died. Her father had just got out of prison and she was so excited. Now in the vision, I couldn't see how he died. I just know that he died and she was broken up about it. A couple days later, she calls me up and she's crying her eyes out. Her father passed away of cancer. So in my head, I'm like, oh yeah. She went into this deep, deep depression. Keep in mind, earlier on in the beginning, the initial spell that she put on me was a reflection spell to make me feel what she felt. So if she depressed, if she drinking a Coke and she going through all this, how you think I felt? A couple days go by, I have another vision. Now she only had one biological kid. She babysat 2 other kids that she called her own kids because their mother was on drugs and she took care of them most of the time. So one day the lady drops the kids off for the girl to babysit and she don't come pick them up. This woman goes missing for months. Nobody's seen anything. Nobody's heard anything. They got the police involved trying to locate this woman. They reaching out to people trying to find this woman. Have you seen her? Have you seen her? Them kids worried. They don't know where their mama at. Their daddy ain't in their life. All they got is this woman who been babysitting them. Tell me why I have a vision and I see this woman laying somewhere slumped. All I saw was her laying stiff in a dark, cold place. So I told this woman, for the sake of those children, I said, I had a vision that that woman is dead. She was in a cold, dark place and she wasn't moving. Obviously, she's worried because if this woman's dead, they father not around, them kids gonna be with her. Couple days go by, they found that woman a couple houses down in a house She had an overdose on drugs. She was in fact in a cold, dark place and very much dead off of drugs. So now she's stuck with these kids. Now she got 3 kids. They talking about putting the kids in a foster home, but she told them hell no because of what happened to her in the foster home. They're trying to get in contact with some of the relatives for the kids, but nobody wanted to take the kids in. So in the end, she ended up keeping the kids. So not only did her father pass away and she was already battling depression, now she got 2 more mouths to feed. She had 2 best friends, one that she stayed with and then one from her hometown. They had been lifelong friends. Her friend from her hometown cuts her off. Her friend that she stayed with started acting funny because I was in the picture. Starts telling her, "You don't deserve that man you with. I see how he treats you and I know you ain't shit. What makes you get love properly and I don't get love properly?" So they get into it. So typically the girl would watch the kids while the girl came and seen me. She stopped doing that. Now everywhere she go, she got them kids right behind her. Keep in mind, she was staying in a hotel. So the lady that had the house waiting for her calls her and tells her, "You can't move into the house no more." So now she's out of a crib, she's out of friends, her father's dead, she got 2 more kids and she's staying in a hotel. And on top of all of this, I began to have visions of my wife. I began the same cravings I was having for that girl, I began to have them for my wife. So while all of this is happening, me and the girl, we not talking as much. I'm getting me a little break from now on. My wife called me later that night while I was in the studio. I could tell she was pissed off. She asked me, "Have you been feeling funny? What has God been telling you? Because I've been having a whole lot of visions about you and I've been craving you." I tell her, "I've been having visions about you too and I've been craving you." So what happened was the love spells she was putting on me, they were working, just not in the way she wanted them to. I began to crave my wife and not her. Now keep in mind, me and my wife, we are very much still beefing. We still hate each other, we still separated, we still don't want to deal with each other. So I'm fighting the urges, my wife fighting the urges, but we slowly starting to talk more. Now keep in mind, old girl can no longer read me, but I still hated my wife, therefore she still had some control over me. Fast forward, my mama calls me. She invites me home to a family event. What I didn't know was that she had invited my wife as well, and she didn't tell my wife I was coming, and she didn't tell me my wife was coming. She was being messy. So I go down there. The girl was not happy about it. She was 38 hot, and she was saying, "You always leaving me." Me and my wife link up, and we get into it. Mama steps in, and she tells me, "Baby, you need to forgive your wife. As long as you have that hate in your heart, God is not going to allow you to prosper." That's when the solution to get this witchcraft off of me dawned on me. Part 7 coming next. So pertaining to my witchcraft testimony, homie, a lot of y'all keep mentioning the fact that I'm married. He keeps saying his wife, but he messing with this other woman. Me and my wife were separated before I met this woman. And as y'all know, hate was the driving force behind the power for this woman to have witchcraft on me. If you have a heart full of hate, then you have an open doorway for the devil to use you, because hate is not of God. So somebody asked me, why did you hate your wife so much? So instead of me explaining to y'all why I hated my wife, I'm gonna let her explain it herself. That way she gets to speak her piece and kind of defend herself.
Hey everybody, hope all is going well for you guys out there that are very interested in my hub story. I just want to speak to the women and a little bit on my behalf. We have been together going on 5 years now, and I will say, in the beginning, you couldn't tell me nothing. Excuse my French, but I thought I was hot shit. Okay? Ladies, I need you to understand a couple things that don't make you wifey material. Being educated, being pretty, knowing how to cook, knowing how to clean, knowing how to upkeep yourself, and last but not least, having a low body count or keeping your legs closed. That does not make you wifey material. Because when you come together with someone, it's no longer just about you and what you provide. It's about y'all together as a union. And you need to understand that when you're with somebody, you're loving them in their love language, not what you would like somebody to love you as. But when you're communicating with your partner, you're communicating them in a way that they can understand. Communication without comprehension is miscommunication. There is no level of communication whatsoever. So we like to think of ourselves as the problem solvers, but ladies, sometimes we are the problem. I was hot-tempered. I was always on the defense. When he was coming to me, talking to me about issues that was bothering him, I would flip it around on how I feel. So with that being the case, if you are aspiring to be a wife or newlyweds, whatever the case is, at any point in your relationship, it doesn't matter if it's new or y'all been together a while, never stop learning each other, never stop growing with each other, never stop listening to each other. If your significant other is bringing you a concern, they are not trying to create an argument, but provide a solution for the both of y'all. Both of y'all should be happy, not just one person serving the other and making sure that they're good and you're not checking in. Ladies, an ugly truth that we don't like to admit: if you can recognize when your man is cheating, you need to be able to recognize when your man is unhappy. And this is not to give the fellas an out. If your man is unhappy, you should be able to clock that before you clock another woman having his attention. So, I say this with love, ladies. Make sure your internal checklist is right before you're focused on the external.
Homie, I love my wife, but I'm gonna keep it real. My wife was hyper independent. She was very much in touch with her masculine and not her feminine. She always had to be right. She always had to be heard. She didn't know how to keep her hands to herself. She could not take being corrected. It was her way or no way. She had a whole lot of ways and a whole lot of characteristics, man, that made it very, very difficult to be married to her. She did not want to take couples therapy, and the more I tried to talk to her, the more she disrespected me. So one day she had a vision that I was sleeping with a light-skinned woman in our bed. Now at this time, I didn't know who the hell this was, because I'm like, I ain't fucking nobody else. But she had a vision of what was to come, because later on I started having the same visions. And I came to her and I told her about it, like, hey, you make me feel awful on a day-to-day basis. If you do not treat me better, I am going to leave you. I have taken all I could take from you, and I'm trying my damnedest to love on you, woman, and be here for you. She looked me in my eyes and she told me, I don't give a damn what you do. If you want to cheat, go ahead and cheat. I don't care. That broke my fucking heart. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. That broke my heart. So, instead of bitching about it, I left. She brought me the separation papers. I ain't even bring them to her. She brought them to me. But she was not expecting me to sign the separation papers. When I signed them and I gave them back to her, she looked at me and she was like, oh, you serious? And then that's when it started to click to her, like, this man is for real. So she hit me up and she was like, hey, I'm finna get this signed. I'm finna go to the notary and get it signed. You sure you still want to do this? And I told her, yeah. Sign it, send me a copy. She was hurt, but she did it, and we separated. She hated me for leaving her. I hated her for fucking treating me like shit. Then that's when the vision came to pass, man. That light-skinned woman that she was talking about, or that light-skinned woman that she had a vision about, is the woman I met. While I was with this woman, homie, my wife called the police on me. She called my command while I was in the military to have me sent to the brig and have me kicked out of the military, telling them that I was screwing this girl and this and that. She had her family hating me. Now here's the beautiful thing about growth. Now we both look back on that shit and we laugh about it. Only married people gonna understand that. Somebody who ain't married gonna have all the advice in the world to say about what should be done, what you should have done. If your ass ain't married or ain't ever been married for some time, you can't speak on what people do in marriage. It's a different ball game when you're in it. The same thing with witchcraft, homie. A lot of y'all talking about what I should have done, what I should have did, why I kept going back, why I kept doing this. Meanwhile, you ain't never had witchcraft put on you, so you don't understand. And truthfully, I hope you never do. Truth be told, at some point or another, both parties hate each other at some point in the marriage. Whether it's that man hating that woman or that woman hating that man, at some point, y'all gonna not stand each other. That's just marriage, homie. This is part 7 to my witchcraft testimony. I'm gonna jump right into it. Before y'all watch this video, go watch the interlude to part 7 so you have a little understanding of what I'm finna say. Before I speak on this woman, man, understand that I'm speaking past tense. Understand that the feelings I had for her back then were back then and they are not active. Me and my wife are still together. Me and my wife, we have healed from this. This happened 2+ years ago, and we look back at this shit and we laugh about it. I'm gonna name this segment Lovejaw Lacy. That's what we gonna call the woman that was putting the witchcraft on me. But in the beginning, Lovejaw Lacy, this woman, she was submissive. She listened to what I told her. She was feminine, and quite frankly, she knew how to treat a man. Before I knew about all the witchcraft, she would take me on dates, man. She took me to this picnic date one time where she bought all this food and all these snacks, man, and she brought board games, and we sat outside and we had a picnic and we played board games. I personally never had a woman do that for me. A lot of times, men are always the one to treat a woman, but it's so rare that a woman will treat a man. A lot of times, it's the man paying for the woman's hair, the woman's nails and stuff like that. This woman would pay for my haircuts. When she left in the morning, she would leave me some money on the dresser. It was kind of crazy, like I was a damn prostitute or something, but she would leave me some money on the dresser and she'd tell me, go buy yourself some breakfast today, or go get yourself a haircut today. It's on me. For the women watching, I'm gonna tell y'all this. Y'all think that sex controls men. Nah, a submissive woman controls a man. I was used to telling my wife to do something 3 and 4 times and it still didn't get done. With this woman, I tell her to do something 1 time and she do it. Sometimes she stopped what she was doing in that moment just to go do it. And again, I'm not looking for a puppy dog woman. I'm not looking for a yes woman, but a woman that respects me. I got my own money. I pay my own bills. I got my own crib. I got my own car. If you coming into my life, you need to add to what I already have. Being hard-headed and being argumentative and all that other mess, you stressing me out. I don't want that in my life. I don't need that in my life. So if you're going to be present, add to the value that's already present. And that's what Lil Mama did. So when I met Lovejaw Lacy, I was used to over-explaining myself. I was used to apologizing for every little thing I did wrong. I was so used to my wife making me feel like I was the damn problem all the time. I started to believe that I was fucking crazy, that I was the problem. All that being said, homie, I'm not still in love with this woman. Don't want nothing to do with her, but I'm only speaking the truth. I was separated, dealt with a lot of shit. She made a nigga feel special. And back then, I needed that. There was things that she would do wrong and I would correct her, and instead of getting defensive and putting her hands on me and fighting, she would apologize. That alone was some shit I was not used to. A lot of women, homie, don't take accountability. A lot of them believe that being pretty gives them a reason to be disrespectful. Did I know I had witchcraft put on me at the beginning? Hell no. Everything just felt so good. Little did I know she was putting Lovejaw spells on me back then. That's why it felt so damn good and why I was so sweet on her. But it's crazy because my wife had a vision months prior to me meeting this woman. And that was God's way of telling my wife, treat your husband better or you're going to lose him. I was having dreams about messing with other women. I told my wife, she told me she ain't give a damn. Not only I heard that, but God heard that as well. Not only did God hear that, the damn devil did as well. So I'm gonna tell y'all the crazy thing about Lovejaw Lacy, man. It's almost like when the enemy sent this woman, he specifically instructed her to say and do certain things to convince me that she was the one for me. My wife had this obsession with sunflowers at the time. She literally used to be saved in my phone as my sunflower. And that is literally how I used to refer to her. She loved being referred to as my sunflower. So tell me why when I meet this woman, I go to her house. Her house is covered in sunflowers. She has a sunflower wreath on her door, and she looks up at me when I'm kicking it with her one day, and she tells me, I'm your sunflower. She was Dominican, black and white, had a head full of hair. She had that track star body. She was like 5'3". Quite frankly, homie, she was built like a Coke bottle. And I ain't gonna lie, I love that shit. She had the softest damn skin I done ever felt on a woman. She always drank her water and she ate a lot of fruit. And whenever we had sex, the sex was so goddamn passionate, homie. It felt like we was really in love. It felt like we was really meant to be together. And it wasn't no ordinary sex, homie. Typical sex for a lot of people lasts 5 to 15 minutes. As I said before, this ain't no disrespect to my wife, man, but I'm being honest. Without witchcraft put on me, I'm an Energizer bunny. So you take that and you amplify it with witchcraft. You do the math. We had sex for hours and hours, homie. And it don't matter what she was doing, where she was at, she always told me, yeah. That was something I wasn't used to. Truth be told, homie, me and my wife fought too much to be intimate back then. I would often wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with this girl. Whenever I couldn't sleep, I'd roll her ass over. She let me do what I do. Wake up at 06 to go to work. Roll her over, we do what we do. 11, 12 in the afternoon, lunchtime, we link up, we do what we do. I get off work, 4:30, 5 o'clock, we do what we do. It's time to go to bed, we do what we do, then we go to bed. And you got to understand, me and her both had the same love language, physical touch. We would have sex and we would speak affirmations to each other while we having sex. It almost felt like we was high off adrenaline. Because when we was into it, man, we literally lost track of time, man. Hours later, we sweaty, we exhausted, and we still all over each other. It literally felt like obsession. No matter how many times we had sex, I still could not get enough. She could not get enough. Got off of work at 4:30, 15-minute drive home. Get home at 4:45. She there by 5 o'clock. We would often manifest things while we having sex, and yes, that is considered sex magic. Did I know that back then? No. People say all type of crazy stuff during sex. I want this forever. I want you to love me forever. I love you so much. Don't you ever leave me. This pussy yours. This dick is yours. All that. That shit have meaning. You can manifest a whole lot of unhealthy shit by opening your mouth during sex when the energy is so high. Here's the crazy part. I'll never forget this. Me and this woman was having sex, man. She was on top of me and we had the TV off and the lights off. In the middle of her having sex, she was orgasming and she started screaming, I love you, I love you, I love you. The energy was so high in the room that the television that I had mounted to the wall, it cut on. A bright flash emitted and then it cut off. The remote wasn't nowhere near us and it was just us in the house. We stopped. We looking around like what the hell just happened? The energy was so high in the room that it was fucking with the electromagnetic frequency in the fucking TV. I mean, we would record ourselves fucking, and in the video, we would go back and watch it, and we would be surrounded by angel orbs. Now, what that looks like on camera is like a whole bunch of small lights in the camera. It looked like we were surrounded by damn stars. That is how high and how potent the damn energy was. And if you don't know about angel orbs, go look it up. Truth be told, man, a lot of y'all don't really be having sex like that. Y'all lay down and get fucked, and y'all get up. A lot of y'all don't know what damn stacking orgasm is or edging, and if you do, you probably ain't never damn did it. As far as spirituality goes with sex, a lot of y'all don't practice tantric sex. A lot of y'all don't know what tantric sex is. A lot of y'all also don't know about erogenous zones, so you don't know how to apply that during sex with your partner. Sex is an exchange of energy. A lot of people don't study sex. A lot of people just have sex just to be having it. But when you are a spiritual person and you really want to please your partner and you really take sex serious, you look into things like the practice of tantra. You look into things like affirmations during sex. You look into things like stacking orgasms or quote unquote edging. When you doing all that to a woman, man, or you doing all that to a person, that shit is dangerous. It's very, very potent. It's very, very powerful sex. I'm not gonna lie to you, dog. Me and this woman did a lot of supernatural shit, and I witnessed a lot of supernatural shit with this woman. I literally felt like me and her together were strong enough to manifest the weather to change. Keep in mind, she put a reflection spell on me so I could feel what she felt and hear what she thought, and she could do the same for me. But me and this woman was linked spiritually. We literally acted as one. So when we put our heads together, we did some supernatural crazy shit. And I had never had that with any woman. It literally felt like she was the woman for me. She was indeed a karmic soulmate. In part 8, I'll explain what a karmic soulmate is. Part 8 on the way. So, this is part 8 to my witchcraft experience. I'm gonna jump right into it. So in part 7, I spoke about a karmic soulmate. And I told you that in part 8, I'd tell you what that is. So, a karmic soulmate is a soulmate that you are brought together with specifically to learn a lesson that you failed to master in a previous lifetime. These relationships are often really, really, really passionate, but they are not meant to last. It don't matter how good it feels. And the crazy part about it is a relationship that we need in order to grow. And the even crazier part is that when you find your twin flame, your karmic soulmate is not far behind. Their sole purpose is to keep you from your twin flame. And this woman, she did her damnedest to do just that. Tried to kill my damn wife. and tried everything she had in her power to keep me from my wife. She damn sure fulfilled her purpose, damn sure played her part. So the girl can no longer read me, so I did get a break. But I still had some hate in my heart for my wife. So me and the girl were separated at this time, but man, I still felt her pulling on my spirit. I still felt her pulling on my energy. So I decided to go to therapy. So I go to therapy, man, and my therapist is this Hispanic lady. Didn't think anything of it. I sit down in front of her, I tell her what's going on. I just let her have it. I wasn't trying to play with nobody, didn't have time to fuck around. I let her know, I'm dealing with this woman and she has witchcraft on me. I don't know if you believe in that stuff, but tell me right now. If you don't, and you gonna call me crazy, let me know. And I get up respectfully. This lady looks at me and tells me, I believe in it, and I don't think you crazy. I put love spells on my boyfriend all the time. Man, I looked at this damn woman, and I ain't mean to look at her like she was crazy, but in my head, I'm like, oh shit. Done fuck around and found another one. And this lady looking at me with a straight face like what the fuck she just said was normal. And then she proceeds to tell me he was crazy as hell, so she had to leave him. You don't say. I bet he was fucking crazy. Women just, I don't know. A lot of women use love spells and magic to get these men to love them, not knowing that there's a price to be paid. One rule in magic is everything has a price. So when you force this man to love you and you plan on his free will, one of the prices oftentimes is that this man is obsessed with you. That can lead to him being overly clingy. That can lead to him hurting you. That can lead to him being overly jealous. That can lead to that man killing you. You cannot go around putting love spells on people. But anyway, man, I'm thinking all of this inside of my head. I wouldn't dare tell this woman this shit to her face. Cause hell, at this point, I'm nervous as hell. I'm thinking everybody putting spells on me. So the fact that she did this shit to her fucking boyfriend or baby daddy, whoever, I have no doubt she wouldn't mind tearing my ass up too. So I sat my ass in that damn chair. I let her finish talking, and I kept my composure. So fast forward, man, we had about 5 or 6 sessions. She taught me a little bit about witchcraft and how love spells work. So as time went by, I began to get a sense of relief going to her because she was teaching me about this stuff and how to essentially fight back. So her putting stuff on her boyfriend kind of worked out in my favor, or so I thought. So on one of our sessions, man, she gave me a hug, and she reached in her drawer and she gave me something. Now, typically, she handed me cards with the date of our next appointment on it, so I was used to taking things from her. So she reached out with her palm facing downwards and her fist clenched, and she dropped something in my hand and said, here, take this and put it in your pocket and keep it there. So I took it. It felt smaller than a damn business card. So I take it from her and I open my hand and I say, what the hell is this? It was a pendant that was a hand with an eye in the middle of it. I asked her what it was and she said it was an evil eye. It's supposed to protect you from negative energies. Now, I hadn't seen this thing before. I had never heard of it before, so I was kind of confused and I was kind of scared at the same time, but she told me to put it in my pocket and keep it there at all times. And then she told me to leave because her next client was coming in, so I just held it in my hand as I walked out. And when I went to my truck, I sat in my truck and I just held it in my hand like, man, I do not want to bring this home, man. I don't even want to put this shit in my pocket. I don't want to put it in my car. I don't know what the fuck this is, man. So I threw it out and then I drove off. Now later on that night, in my bed, as I'm asleep, I had this dream. This very, very deep and dark and very, very unsettling dream that woke me up out of my sleep. So in this dream, it was me and Lovejaw Lacy. And me and this woman were both in hell. We had died and went to hell. And we were both sitting on a throne like we were king and queen. And before us, there were thousands of demons, legions of demons on their knees. And they were worshiping us as their king and queen. And while they were worshiping us, she was happy as can be. But me, I was not. It's almost like she had died and she knew she was dead and she accepted her fate. But it's like I was in hell, but I was alive because I had all of my memories. I had all of my feelings back when I was alive. Now, as I'm sitting on the throne with this woman, I was looking up. And as I was looking up, I could see heaven. And I could see my wife, I could see my mother, I could see my family. And I was reaching out for them. And they were reaching out for me with tears in their eyes. And they were mumbling words. but I could not hear them. Whenever I tried to pray, while I was in hell, I could not mutter the name Jesus, and I could not say a prayer to him. Whenever I tried to, I bit my tongue, and it caused me great pain. Dad said it would make me angry, and whenever I got angry, the demons began to roar, and they began to praise me even more. It's almost like they worshipped my hate. They worshipped my anger, they worshipped my rage, and I was absolutely terrified. I was shaking in my sleep as I was shaking in the dream. And then the dream fast-forwarded, and it showed me the end result between me and Lovejoy Lacy. In this dream, this woman came to my apartment, she lured me outside, and she shot and she killed me. And as I fell to the ground, bleeding out, dying, she walked towards me and she laid beside me. She looked me in my eyes, she held my face, and she smiled as she put the gun to her head and she committed suicide. When her blood and my blood merged, our fates were sealed. And this is what she had planned all along. But that was not the end of the dream. There's more. So fast forward, I'm in this room and it's dark and I've never been here before. But I saw Lovejoy Lacy there. I saw her praying on her knees. She was praying to this altar. It was pitch black dark around 3 in the morning, and the room was covered with lit candles. On her altar was pictures of me, pictures of her, pictures of me and her. There were 4 black coffin nails beside a piece of paper with my name and her name, along with what seemed to be about 20 mason jars. They all had this brown substance inside, and they all were labeled with my name on them. And I see her praying like her life depended on it. And as I see her praying, she stops and she turns around and she looks dead at me, as if she knew that I was watching her in spirit. She looked at me and she smiled and she continued to pray, unfazed and unbothered. And then I woke up from the dream, covered in sweat, shaking and hyperventilating. God told me immediately, if you do not let go of the hate that you have for your wife, this will be the outcome for you. I began to break down and cry. I got out of my bed and I walked around my house and I began to pray. And as I began to pray, visions of every foul thing anybody had ever done to me began to fill my conscience. Not only just my wife, the people in the military, my mother, family members, friends, and I absolutely went fucking ballistic. I grew enraged. I threw everything off the dressers, snatched all the covers off the bed, and I began to scream. In the midst of my madness, my phone rang. It was my wife. I did not answer the phone at first. I was too angry. But then the phone rang again. I answered the phone, and to my surprise, she told me about the dream she had just had. She had also been inside the same room, saw the same altar with the same candles, the same jars, and the same woman. I was very surprised, but I was even more so surprised at what she said next. She said, I felt your rage. I felt your rage in my sleep. It was sickening. My whole entire body is hot. The kids are up, the kids are scared, and so am I. But that's not why I'm calling you. I'm calling you because in the midst of me suffering from your madness, I heard God give me a message to give to you. And that message is, enough. Part 9 coming next, Tug of War. So, this is part 9 to my witchcraft testimony, Tug of War. So after I calmed down, I began to really listen to what God was telling me. There was 2 options. You either let it go and forgive your wife, so God can get you out of this mess, or you hold on to the hate and you get what you saw in the dreams. I thought about this incident when I was 17, when my cousin tried to kill me, and my grandmother and the whole entire family split into 2. One side supported me and one side supported him. The police got involved and they told us it can go either way because you have people on his side and people on my side. And crazy enough, my grandmother was willing to go to court and testify on his behalf against me. That enraged me, and it sure enough enraged my mother. And it tore the family apart, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, I hated my grandmother for that. And my mother never said it, but I do believe she did too. So, long story short, man, one day my grandmother called my mother. Mother didn't want to answer the phone, but something told her to. She picks up the phone and my grandmother was having a stroke on the phone. She was dying. Now keep in mind, she stayed walking distance, not even less than a 1 minute walk away from us. She called my mother and she was slurring her words, but all we can make out was help. Her voice was trembling and it was fading, and she just kept pleading, help. So my mother understood that she was in trouble and that she needed help. She grabbed me and we ran to our house. Couldn't get in. The doors were locked and we needed to get in quickly, so my mother told me to kick in the door. I did not hesitate. So I stepped back and I'm finna knock this door down. But as I'm getting ready to kick it in, I began to hear the doors unlock. So my mother quickly stopped me and the door opened slowly, and behind the door is standing my grandmother. She's covered in urine and feces. I remember thinking to myself, it was only by the grace of God that she was able to get up and open that door. But as soon as she opened that door, she collapsed. My mother held that woman as she was dying. And I watched my grandmother tell her, I'm sorry for what I did to you and your son. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I don't want to go to hell. I'm dying. Please forgive me, tell me you forgive me. And then she turned to me and she asked me for forgiveness. Quite frankly, I didn't have it in me at that moment. I was too angry to forgive that woman. She was willing to go to court, testify against me, and potentially even let me get killed. So nah, how could I forgive her? But my mother in that instant, without hesitating, she chose love, she chose forgiveness. And she told her mother, Mama, I forgive you and I love you. And she began to pray in tongues. They held each other and they both cried until the ambulance came. I stood there and I remember watching that moment and thinking to myself, how could she just let all that go? Just a few days ago, she was crying and she was shaking. She was so angry. You could feel it. And my grandmother had no remorse whatsoever about the decision she had made. And yet here we are now, all here under these circumstances. Now I knew my mother and I knew she felt what she felt deeply. So what was different about now? How can she forgive this woman? And the way she did it, you could tell that she meant it. I learned in that moment what true forgiveness was. And it also dawned on me that when God is involved, that everything ain't gotta make sense. So after reminiscing on that moment, man, I just realized, dude, you need to let this go now. So I stayed up praying, and in the midst of my praying, I received a vision from God. I saw me and my wife happy again. I saw us back together, and I saw us laughing. So to me, that was confirmation, and it was reassuring that I was headed in the right direction. But on the flip side of that, I also received a vision not shortly after that my wife was laying with another man. Now, I was under the impression that this was a message sent from the enemy, trying to sway me away from forgiving her, so I didn't pay it any attention. Meanwhile, I'm still feeling Lovejoy Lacy pull on me. It honestly felt like she was waiting for me to become enraged. Keep in mind, we were still linked. I still felt some of this woman's thoughts. I still heard some of her thoughts. She knew something that I didn't know. I honestly had this overwhelming feeling that I was not in the loop about something, but I was gonna soon find out. Now keep in mind, me and Lovejoy Lacy had not been dealing with each other like that. Ever since she lost the ability to read me, I was able to put some space in between me and her. So it's Friday. It's a 4-day weekend because it's a holiday. I just got paid and I feel good. So I'm driving home from work and something told me to call my wife. So I did. So while I was on the phone with her, I asked her how she was doing. Asked her how the kids was doing and how was the family. And then I told her that I wanted to come to Georgia because I wanted to have a conversation with her in person. I just wanted to have a general conversation about moving forward, whether it was going to be divorce, or whether we was going to continue to be separated, or whether we was going to try to work things out. She said she didn't mind bringing the kids down and she didn't mind talking to me because we did need to have a conversation. But she told me that she needed to go home first and pack her bags. Now I knew my wife, and I knew that she was egging me on to something. I just didn't know what. She wanted me to go down this rabbit hole with her because she had like this tone in her voice. But I went along with it. So anyway, I told her, go home. I thought you was already supposed to be home. Are you not home? If not, where are you? And she was like, I'm over such and such house. And I'm like, who is that? And she was like, I spent the night over his house last night. And I said, spent the night? I'm like, okay, well, did y'all do anything? And she said, yeah, we had sex. And I just paused over the phone, and I remembered I was at a stoplight, and I just paused. And I thought about that vision I'd had that previous night about her laying with another man. I revisited that feeling about me being kept in the dark about something. And I also revisited that feeling that I had about Lovejaw Lacy knowing something. And it seems that I was correct. She had been laying with another man. Whether the vision was from God or the devil, it was true. Now keep in mind, I know my wife, and I also know why I left her. So I asked her, did you lay with that man to get back at me? And she immediately got defensive, but never answered the question. So I stopped asking, and I just changed the question to, me and you both know why you did this. So, was it worth it? Don't lie to me. And she said, I regret it. And I said, why? And she said, because I can't take it back. My spirit feels heavy, and it was not worth it. It lasted less than 5 minutes, and I was in my head the entire time. And when I told you just now, I wanted it to hurt. And I said, well, you got your revenge. We're quote-unquote even now. So now what? She said, are you angry with me? I said, angry? No, I'm not angry. Woman, when I met you, I loved the ground that you walked on. I used to get visions about you all the time, prophetic visions of how me and you would be together, and how we would be happy, and how we would have this family, and how you would make me a better man, and how I'd make you a better woman. And I loved you dearly for that, and I thank God every day for you. But the longer I was with you, the more of who you really were came out. You see, people never change. They just become more of who they really are over time, the more you're around them. And the more I was around you, the more I got to see just how horrible of a human being you really were. I made excuses for you, and I found ways to love you despite how you treated me. I gave and I gave and I gave, even when I didn't have it to give. And you took and you took and you took, and you did it all selfishly, without remorse. I got you all the gifts you wanted. I fucked you like a porn star. I made your ass come so many times it started to fuck with your sanity. I fasted for 4 years, and I told God the next woman that I meet is going to be my wife. I gave you the best versions of me, a pristine version of me, a version of me that nobody else had, and a body that nobody had touched in 4 years. And you mean to tell me I wasn't good enough? After all of that, I still wasn't good enough. Now with all that being said, to answer your question, no, I'm not angry with you. There's nothing else that you can possibly do to me to hurt or faze me. You've done it all. She began to cry, and she told me I was losing my mind while you was with that woman. You was out with another woman doing whatever you wanted to do. So I went out and I got with a man. I did what I wanted to do. And I told her, you know just as much as I do what's going on. I only wanted somebody to talk to, somebody that didn't make me feel like shit. I did not expect any of this. I was not aware that she was gonna put witchcraft on me and take me through this ordeal. She said I'm aware of all of that, but what I know versus what I feel is different. I care about the emotional connection, and the emotional connection between you two was real. Witchcraft or no witchcraft. And since we being honest, even if it was a small part, there was still a part of you that wanted to be there at some point. She gave you things that I wasn't giving you. She loved on you in ways that I wasn't loving on you. And I'm woman enough to admit that now. So although she did put witchcraft on you, a part of you wanted to be there. And it's that part of you that I'm angry with. Part 10 coming next. Twin Flame. So this is part 10 to my witchcraft testimony. So I had visions of my wife laying with another man. Turns out that those visions were true. My wife told me she did it to get back at me. So we at this point. I had laid with another woman, she had laid with another man. We both going back and forth about why we did it. So I was calling her because I was coming home that weekend. Now she just told me that she had laid with another man and that she was actively with this guy. So in my head, ain't no point in coming down and talk to this woman no more. She's already, in somewhat of a relationship with this guy. But I still needed to forgive this woman. Things just got a little more difficult, man. Now I'm not angry at my wife for laying with this dude. I'm angry at her because of why she did it. She did it strictly out of spite. And that, quite frankly, reminded me on why I hated her ass so much. Because a part of her personality was being so vindictive and spiteful. So I hang up the phone with my wife, I go home and I sit on my couch. I cut off all the TVs, all the AC, I let up all the windows, I light some candles, and I sit in the middle of my couch and I'm talking to God. And I'm telling God, man, this thing just got more difficult. It seemed like the more I try to forgive this woman, something always comes up. She always doing something. So after about an hour of talking to God, I come to the conclusion and I kind of hold myself accountable. Even though there was heavy witchcraft involved, there were certain parts that I did enjoy. This woman treated me better than my wife ever did, and I did enjoy that. Before all the craziness began, I did enjoy the sex. I enjoyed the gifts, I enjoyed the conversations. I enjoyed some of the little toxic shit we did. It felt good for the most part. And then the witchcraft got exposed and everything went downhill. After coming to that conclusion, I thought about everything that my wife had said and everything that I had said. And I realized I deserved it. She only did what I did. So I could not be mad at this woman. I didn't like it, but I couldn't be mad at her. Truth be told, I wasn't mad at her. So I tell my wife I'm gonna pray and I'm gonna sleep on it. Depending on what God reveals to me, will determine whether I come home or not and we talk. So fast forward, I go to sleep. In my dreams, all I had was visions of her and that man having sex. I saw every single thing they did. I even saw what the man looked like. And I also saw that this man was a karmic soulmate. This man was sent from the enemy. The same exact way that Lovejoy Lacy was sent in my time of desperation, this man was sent in my wife's time of desperation. Now in this vision, it was revealed that this man's sole purpose was to come into my wife's life, have sex with her, get her pregnant, and give her AIDS, and then leave her. God revealed everything to me about this man's intentions and his origins. Now keep in mind, I'm still trying to forgive this woman, but now I gotta go save this woman. God told me that if I did not stop her, then he would not save me from Lovejoy Lacy. So now it's a thing of forgiving my wife and setting aside my pride. When God chooses you, he demands on you. And quite frankly, how you feel most of the time don't matter. So I swallowed my pride. Text my wife and said, I'm coming down there tomorrow. I got something I want to talk to you about. So fast forward, me and my wife, we meet. It's around 8 o'clock at night and we in a parking lot. Now I'm nervous because I low-key don't want to see her. Don't know how she gonna take to what I'm finna tell her. But I know if I don't do it, God gonna let that girl have her way with me. I just keep reminding myself, set aside your pride. It ain't about you no more. So I park my truck, my wife leaning up against her car. I step out and I'm leaning up against my truck. We spent the first minute just staring at each other in complete disgust. Walk up to her, ask her how she doing. Truth be told, homie, I could see the hurt on this woman's face. Oddly enough, she still had her ring on. I did not have mine on. So I just jumped right into it. And I asked her, who is this man that you're seeing? Of course, she hit me with the why does it matter? Shouldn't you be with your little girlfriend? I told her to stop all that. And I told her, this man is your karmic soulmate. And he is the equivalent of the woman that was sent to destroy me. I don't know if there's any witchcraft involved yet, but I had a vision last night that this man gave you AIDS and he got you pregnant and left you for destruction. She looked like what I had said to her had resonated and that she had heard it before. She tells me that God had warned her about this man. So I asked her why she's still with him. And of course she said she wanted to hurt me. And of course he played the role. He listened to her. He was there. I told her that God revealed to me her and the man having sex. I described the man to her. She told me I was on point. I also told her that we needed to forgive each other. Because if we didn't, we was both in trouble. Because if she continued to hate me, then that man would have her way. And if I continued to hate her, then that woman would have her way with me. So we found ourselves both in the same situation. Now I knew me and my wife couldn't have sex because we had been with other people and you don't ever want to mix spirits. Soul ties are real. So I told my wife, I'm going to kiss you. If you still feel something emotionally, then we will forgive each other and work past this. But if I kiss you and you feel absolutely nothing, we're gonna get lawyers and we're gonna get a divorce. She agreed, and then we kissed. The moment I kissed that woman, all the feelings that I had for her came back. The moment she kissed me, all the feelings she had for me came back. It was almost like a doggone spark was created just then. I ain't gonna lie to you, I was pissed off. I did not intend on that happening. But when somebody's your twin flame, that's who you're supposed to be with. is a God-ordained relationship, so ain't no getting away from it. Wasn't no getting away from each other. So with these feelings coming back for both of us, we both got scared. She backed up and she started crying and praying. And she told God, no, don't do this to me. And I didn't say it, but I was thinking the same thing. We had done did too much to each other to reconcile. Now I'm watching her cry and pray and tell God that she don't want these feelings back. I walked over to her and I held her and we both cried and we both prayed. Except I prayed for God to help us forgive each other. That was the only way out. So we sitting on the bed of my truck and we praying. Tell me why when I said amen, I started to crave this woman. And she started to crave me. So me being the man I am, man, I kissed her again. So we started kissing, homie. Realistically, shouldn't be doing that. Now the more we kissed, the more we craved each other. So I made a suggestion. So I told her, let's get in the back of the truck. I want you to play with it while I play with yours. And we're gonna kiss at the same time. We're not gonna have sex though. She said, okay. We get in that car, we get at it. It's getting intense. Tell me why this girl disregarded everything that I told her prior. And she jumped on it. So we into it, man. She slid down on it and went crazy. She choking me while she bouncing on it and telling me I better not ever give it away again. And I'm looking at her telling her I won't. She busting back to back. I'm trying not to bust. We had my whole truck rocking. There was people on the other side of the parking lot that heard us, but we didn't care. Fast forward, we get done, we make up, we the best of friends now. We sitting outside on the bed of my truck. Tell me why the boy calls her. I look at the phone and ask him, you gonna answer it? She picked up the phone and blocked the number. That was the end of him. But me and my wife back together now. We head back to my mama crib, we lay down, we go to sleep. That night we went to sleep. All I saw in my head was visions of her having sex with that man, and all she saw was visions of me having sex with that woman. We wake up in the middle of the night and we fight. She 38 hot and I'm disgusted. Each night in our dreams, every time we closed our eyes, we saw each other having sex with the other person. So now forgiveness had just got that much harder for both of us. So now we together, but we disgusted with each other. She no longer wants to touch me. I no longer want to touch her. So now we wondering how in the heck is we gonna be together? Because these visions, they won't stop. So I told her, let's pray together. Let's pray away the visions. If we're gonna be together, let's pray together. So we pray. The vision stopped for a moment. And then that night, I had a dream that the man had got my wife pregnant. Part 11 on the way. So this is part 11 to my witchcraft experience. So it's only been about 2 weeks since she done laid down with this man. Her period was supposed to come on 2 weeks later. So leading up to that, all we did was fight. Every dream that I had was her and that man, and every dream that she had was me and that woman. She was scared, and to be honest, I was too. Now during this time with all this chaos and all this strife going on, I began to get visions of me and Lovejoy Lacy having sex again. It's almost like she was feeding off the chaos. So in my head, I'm thinking to myself, you have to keep yourself under control, homie, because if you sink too low in vibration, this woman is going to get access to you again. And that's exactly what happened. I kept telling myself that I forgave my wife. I told God I forgave my wife. I told my wife I forgave my wife. But truly in my heart, I did not forgive that woman. Each day we was waiting for her period to come on, I hated that woman a little bit more and a little bit more. Each day we fought, I hated her a little bit more. Now I'm having these sexual dreams again about this woman. It felt like somebody was inside of me ripping and clawing at my spirit, pulling and tugging at my mind. I'm getting migraines, I'm craving that woman, and it wasn't long after before I started to hear her thoughts again. So at this point, we are now fully connected again. She can feel me and I can feel her. So the weekend is over. I drive back to North Carolina. My wife goes back to her mother's house. What was supposed to be our reunion turned into a mess. So to anybody that travels, you know that south of the border is right where you cross over from North Carolina to South Carolina or South Carolina to North Carolina. The moment I crossed south of the border and I entered North Carolina, I felt this woman pulling and tugging on me. The strongest I had ever felt her. I also got 2 missed calls from a random number and a text message from a random woman asking if I had been talking to anybody else. I call back, no response. I text back, who is this? No response. My intuition told me that was her. So I went about 2 weeks without talking to this woman. This was the worst 2 weeks of my life at that time. It was almost like I was having withdrawals from substance abuse. I'm laying in my bed and I can feel this woman on top of me. I'm walking around my house and I can smell this woman. This woman is coming to me in my dreams, having sex with me. I'm waking up with the taste of this woman on my tongue. I am literally being driven insane the more I resist. So with all this madness going on, I had forgot to check in with my wife to see if she was pregnant or not, because she didn't hit me up. So I reached out to her and I asked her, so what's the word, you pregnant or not? Her period did come on. She took her pregnancy test and she was not pregnant. So at least that was water under the bridge. So you would think that with that being the case, things would be better. Nah, Lovejoy Lacy knew about my wife. And she then began putting separation spells on our union. So every little thing turned into an argument. I despised that woman and that woman despised me. We had made progress and moving forward, but for some reason, the past just kept coming up. The dreams got way more demonic. So my wife calls me and she tells me about this dream she had. In this dream, me, her, and Lovejoy Lacy had a threesome. They eating on each other. They're sucking on me at the same time. I'm hitting one while the other eat the other. Everybody having multiple orgasms. It's a very passionate, close-knit threesome. Now my wife woke up with her panties wet as if she had orgasmed. And she woke up really, really horny. She described this crazy dream to me and all I could think of is we shouldn't have had sex. That to me just sounded like a dream of us mixing our spirits together after we had sex. We never really had a threesome per se, but I had sex with my wife and I had sex with that woman. So in the spiritual aspect, it was a threesome. So with these separation spells on us and this attack on our union, we would converse about something, things would be cool for a little bit, and then all of a sudden all hell would break loose. Would always turn into an argument. But we didn't stay on the phone long. So fast forward later that week, I ended up having a dream. And in this dream, like before, I saw this woman doing Lovejoy spells. I also saw her doing separation spells, but only this time I saw a room that I had never seen before. This room was shaped like a box, and it had one door. And in this room was me. I was in a fetal position, and I was trapped in this room. I was held prisoner. This woman would come in this room every so often, and she would have sex with me. I was chained up in this room, and I was begging her to release me. And she would come in the room and she would rub my face and tell me, you're mine now. I'm never letting you go, and you're never leaving me again. It had to be this way. This box was the inside of my mind. She had full access to me, my mind, and my spirit. On the inside, I was aware of everything going on. And on the outside, I was schizophrenic. Whatever spell she had done, she had completed. And she had access to me. I don't know if you want to call that a destiny swap spell or what, but she had full access to my spirit, and I was a prisoner in my own mind. And as far as my actual body, it was like that of a zombie. And I behaved as such. God had given me a glimpse of what she was now trying to accomplish. This woman wanted me that bad, and for the life of me, I could not understand why it was that deep for her. So after all these dreams and after all these things get revealed, I broke. I gave in and I texted this woman. And I asked her, why are you doing this to me? She responded back and she told me, because I'm obsessed with you. And you teach me things. To this day, I still can't make sense of that. But then she asked me this question. She asked me, do you love me? Or do you think that it's purely the love spells I put on you that makes you love me? I told her, you never gave me a chance to genuinely fall in love with you. You put love spells on me from the jump. So to answer your question on if I really love you or not, I don't know. You never gave me a genuine chance. I told her I do think it's the love spells that make me so crazy over you. These obsessive thoughts, these cravings 25/8, this is not like me. This ain't who I am. I've never been like this to any woman. And to keep coming back to a woman, it obviously means me no good. Yeah, It's the love spell, shawty. Cause it ain't me. She got offended. She ain't like that. She cut the volume up. So now I'm more miserable than I've ever been. I'm having wet dreams every night. This woman is coming in my dreams every night and having sex with me. I'm losing weight. Migraines every day. Body hurting every day. Waking up with claw marks and bite marks on me. It literally feels like she was sucking the life from me. Every night this happened, I'm praying. Every night I'm crying. So at this point I got angry. It seemed like God wasn't moving fast enough for me. It seemed like no matter what I did, this thing just had no end. So I decided to handle it my way. I stayed up all night in madness, plotting and planning. Night after night I had dreams of this woman dying. Her getting struck by lightning. Her friends setting her up. Her getting in car accidents. I could feel this physical mass sitting inside of my stomach. My rage had to let something in. All that I craved was pure destruction. This lasted for days. I literally was turning into a madman, borderline schizophrenic. Ironically, just like that dream I had, I do believe that whatever spell she was putting on me was coming into fruition at this time. So I'm crying and I'm praying still. And I'm begging God, whatever this is, do not let it have me. Despite what has happened, I am still a man of God. Jesus, please help me. And then my wife called me. Part 12 on the way. The phone call. So this is part 12 to my witchcraft experience. So in the midst of my madness, my wife calls me. She explains to me that she feels my rage and she needs for me to calm down because she can feel me on her end. And yet again, I got the whole household stirred up. When you are connected to somebody spiritually, that's just what happens. You feel their emotions and they feel yours. So I'm on the phone going off. My wife was trying to talk to me, but I wasn't trying to hear it, man. I was really on 10. All she had to say was, God said, don't do it. She said that and she hung up the phone. I continued to stay in my madness. I was too far gone to hear anything God had to say and hear anything she had to say. So in the midst of my madness, I decided, I'm done playing with this girl. I decided I was gonna pull up on Lil Mama. Honestly, I was gonna crash out on Lil Mama on sight. Now keep in mind, this woman can feel me, just as I can feel her. So she know I'm coming for her. So fast forward the next day, I text Lil Mama and I asked her where she was at and what she was doing. She don't want to tell me where she at. My eyes bloodshot red, my chest pounding, and I'm sweating. I literally looked like a madman, and I felt like one too. I'm riding around the city just like that looking for this girl. I hadn't had my fill, I was tired, and I wanted that mess to stop. Now while I'm riding around the city, my mama shot me a text. My mama also called me. I ain't text back, and I ain't called her back. I knew why she was calling. I ain't want to talk to nobody. I wanted love, Roi Lacy. So after about an hour of riding around, I pulled over on the side of the road and I just started breaking down, punching the steering wheel, going crazy, screaming, growling, the whole nine. Now when you are spiritual, you hear both sides. You have access to both sides, both realms, light and dark. So just as you can hear God, you can hear the devil as well. And I heard the devil tell me, if you want her location, I will give it to you. You just have to let me in. I'm not gonna lie. I thought about it for a moment. I screamed a little bit more. I punched the steering wheel some more. But then I had to remember, my rage, my unforgiveness, my hate is what got me in this mess in the first place. And if I gave in, it was going to be the very thing that got me even deeper in this mess. I did not tell the devil yes, but I also did not tell him no either. I decided that I would go to the mall and just walk around the mall to cool off, maybe buy me some cologne, buy me some clothes to clear my mind. So I walked in the mall and I went to the cologne shop. So I walk up to the cologne shop and I'm looking. Spent about 30 minutes there. I had a good conversation with the guy. As soon as I walked up to this guy, he started complimenting me. Man, I love your shoes, dog. I love your necklace. I love your watch. I love your jewelry. I love what you got on right now, man. What cologne do you have on right now? I'm not in the mood for talking to nobody, but I figured some conversation could help me cool down. So I'm chopping it up with dog. So after a while of talking, he gave me a discount on the cologne and he also gave me a free bottle. Him giving me that free bottle made me realize that there are still good people in the world, and that one act of benevolence just it softened me up for the moment. He gave me his number and he said, bruh, if you ever want any more cologne, hit me up and I got you. So I went back to the car feeling good, man. This guy just did something nice for me. I feel a lot better now. I text dude, I lock his number in, I go home. Now one thing about the devil is, he gonna always make sin easy for you. He will always make self-destruction easy. Tell me why this dude that I just met that sold me the cologne sends me a long paragraph and tells me, bro, I can tell you an OG. He tells me I'd do anything for you, OG. If you need me to ride on somebody, I will. I'm hard up on money right now, behind on my bills, so if you need me to put in some work, let me know something. You just send the word and I'll do it. Where I'm from, we call them crash dummies. Now keep in mind, this dude was older than me. I just met this dude, but I do believe that he was in fact sent by the enemy. That free bottle of cologne that he gave me was to reel me in. I then heard the devil tell me again, you don't have to do it now. Let him do it. Either way, the results will be the same. You don't have to let me in. Just send him the word. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought about it. It's tempting. And yes, he kept texting me back to back to back, asking me, so what's the word? What's the word? I sat on my couch and I thought about it. I thought about it deeply. And then what my wife said to me that prior night, it clicked. God said, don't do it. This was in fact what he was talking about. I texted dude back and I told him, I'm good, bro. I appreciate you though. I called my mama back, told her about what happened. Her only words of advice was, don't let the devil fool you. I called my wife and I told her what happened. And what she said was, she wanted to talk to Love Lacy. And I'm like, what? She said at this rate, this thing gonna end in one way. You offing her or her offing you. So I want to talk to her. I want to see where her head at. I'm a woman, so I know how to gauge another woman. I tell her, no, I ain't doing that. But she insists on it. So I gave her the girl number. She called her with me on three-way. I had my phone muted, and she picked up the phone. Started off cool. My wife told her, I'm his wife. I know you've been with my husband. And I only have a few questions for you. I don't mean no disrespect. And she asked the girl, do you love him? He told me that you was putting witchcraft on him and love spells on him. This damn girl goes off. Yeah, I'm fucking him. Yeah, we fucking. And so what? My wife was like, I know y'all fucking. I asked, did you love him? She on the other end, do you love him? Do you love him? Why? What the fuck it matter for, huh? Just being belligerent, calling my wife all type of bitches and hoes and shit. I'm on the other end of the line like, boy, this shit, yeah. She denying even putting witchcraft on me. She acting like she don't even know what witchcraft is. She called me delusional, called my wife delusional. She put my wife on speakerphone, her homegirl in the background talking shit. Conversation didn't last that long, man. She just kept calling my wife a bitch, blowing up, getting all hot-headed. Meanwhile, my wife's just chilling. That phone call was an epic fail in my opinion. But she hangs up, and then my wife tells me, really? That's what you been fucking? Her? She's a fucking peasant. I ain't gonna lie, I felt kind of bad. That hoe did show her ass. I really had to ask myself, damn nigga, is that what you been fucking with? So after that phone call, you can only imagine the hell I went through. Of course she cut up the volume. Of course she put more separation spells on me and my wife. Of course I saw my wife having sex with that dude every night. Of course my wife saw me fucking this hoe every night. Of course I was even more unstable than before. Shit just got real bad. But I remembered, rage is not the answer. Unforgiveness, hatred, guns, knocking people out, shooting motherfuckers, that is not the answer. So I figured if my prayers are not enough, then I need to get more people involved. I called my mother, told her to pray. Called my wife, told her to pray. Called my auntie, told her to pray. My brother. I needed a team of prayer warriors to help me get out of this thing. Sometimes we need help. Sometimes we ain't enough. So I had them praying. And then I contacted Elle again. Told Elle that the girl was turning up on me and I needed something done. Elle recommended a cord cutting. A cord cutting is the opposite of a binding spell. A binding spell binds two people together. A cord cutting separates two people, but on a spiritual level. I needed to close off the access that this woman had to my spirit. So a cord cutting is what needed to be done. So I have my whole family praying. I'm praying. I'm doing the cord cuttings. I also have Elle doing the cord cutting. And I also had her look into what this woman was and who she was in the spiritual world. The results truly blew the hell out of me. Part 13 on the way. Who is Lacy? If you have never had witchcraft put on you, this story, the things I did, the things that happened, it's gonna be entertaining, but you're not gonna truly understand it. You can be saved, you can know God, you can read your Bible back to front, you can go to church every Sunday and still have an opening in your defense. I personally know somebody that stopped having sex, that didn't curse, listened to Christian music, read the Bible, was a minister in a church, the whole nine. And the enemy waited until her mother died to attack her. The enemy is patient. So you can have all the defenses you want and have on the full armor of God, the whole nine, and you can still be subject to witchcraft. Yes, Jesus died for our sins. Yes, we are protected. But a lot of y'all underestimate witchcraft, homie. Dark magic operates off of low vibrations. As long as you have low vibrational feelings, you can get witchcraft put on you. That means anxiety, depression, extreme sadness, any type of low vibrational thing like that. Hate, envy, lust. You would have to be perfect to not be subject to witchcraft. And again, if you ain't never had it put on you, you wouldn't understand. Am I saying walk around here and be scared to death for somebody putting witchcraft on you? No. I am saying walk in your truth. When you walk in your truth, you can't be touched. But walking in your truth takes time. You have to make mistakes before you get there. You have to experience low vibrations, high vibrations, the ups, the downs. I was like 23 when this mess happened to me. We were still young, homie. You got to understand that even Job in the Bible was subject to misfortune. A lot of what Job went through, it sounded like witchcraft. God allowed the devil to plague Job simply to teach Job spiritual warfare. A lot of y'all claim y'all Christians, y'all hardcore Christians, but y'all ain't never been through nothing. Y'all ain't never had to war in the spirit. A lot of y'all love God when he giving y'all stuff, but let him allow the devil to come in and turn up on your ass. See if you still praising his name then. That's what the whole book of Job was about. Spiritual warfare. If you ain't got no experience in spiritual warfare, don't get your ass in these comments talking about why you did this, why you did that, you should have done this. If your ass ain't been through it, you don't know. I don't give a damn that you know your Bible. I don't give a damn that you go to church. I don't give a damn that your mom and dad are pastors, that you're a preacher's kid. When you understand how witchcraft works, you understand why it's so important to be grounded. Y'all be thinking that being saved means that you can't be touched. Hell no, who the fuck told you that? Who told you that? When you save, you are the main damn target. Why would the devil want to put witchcraft on one of his people? Hell no. He coming for the people that's truly saved. He gonna come for unions. He gonna attack marriages. He gonna attack divine friendships. Witchcraft is belief and intent. Anybody can do witchcraft. Anybody. Just as there is strength in numbers with prayer, with God, there is strength in numbers with witchcraft, homie. A lot of y'all get saved and forget that the devil exists. It's real, homie. Just as there are people on their knees praying to God, there are people on their knees praying to the devil. People make sacrificial deals with the devil. They give away their firstborn child for prosperity and wealth. A lot of the businesses you see running today, the billion-dollar businesses, they are founded on witchcraft. Somebody ancestor conjured up a damn demon, conjured up Mammon, and cut a fucking deal. If I do this, if I give you my firstborn child, or if we give you one firstborn child each generation, this wealth continues. That's how that shit go. That's how generational curses begin. A lot of y'all underestimate witchcraft. A lot of y'all underestimate the devil. Yes, God has authority over the devil. But if you not living in your truth, you can fool people. You can fool the world, but you ain't fooling God. And you damn sure ain't fooling the devil. All the enemy needs is an opportunity. The enemy is militant. The spiritual world is militant. There are different levels and different doggone rankings in hell, different rankings in heaven. You got the low vibrational demons, the privates. You got the doggone, the high ranking generals, the big dogs. Lil Lacy was a motherfucking big dog, homie. That girl knew her shit inside and out. I ain't told y'all about it yet, but Shawty knew her shit. to do a destiny swap spell and to conjure up different demons and send them over here and kill this person and flip over a car and cause this, that's high ranking shit. Average motherfuckers can't do that. You have to have some skin in the game. The devil has a Bible. The devil has a Bible. People know that Bible. People know about the book of the dead. People know about the different books of spells. And they ground themselves in hate. And baby, they coming for you way harder than you know. A lot of y'all under attack and y'all don't even know it. Because you're not spiritually in tune enough to know. You wonder why your car keep tearing up. You wonder why your money keep getting fucked up. You wonder why you keep having incubi and succubi visit you in your dreams and fuck the shit out of you. You wonder why you waking up every night with scratch marks all on you, bite marks all on you, and bruises and shit. Somebody you know is fucking you over. I'ma keep it real with y'all. Y'all spend too much time in the Bible. All of the answers is not in the Bible. There are different apocryphas outside of the Bible that were once in the Bible that has a whole lot of answers. For example, it tells you where incubi and succubi come from in the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch was once a part of the Bible, but they took it out. That's the definition of an apocrypha. You also have the book of Adam and Eve that goes into detail about the story of Adam and Eve. But because y'all under the impression that any book outside of the Bible is demonic, you stay in this little box, in this cage, and you don't learn shit and you don't grow. There's a whole lot of knowledge that y'all missing out on because y'all are under the impression that it's demonic. It becomes demonic when demons get involved. It's not demonic for you to go and read about spells. It's not demonic for you to go and read about demons. Y'all be scared to do research on demons. Y'all be like, I don't want to take it in. I don't want anything to jump on me. Well, get grounded then. Again, how are you going to call yourself a warrior for Christ when you ain't never been to war? Baby, I got war stories. This whole witchcraft experience is a war story. And it ain't the only one. The higher ranking you are in Christ, the more the devil gonna come for you. The harder the devil gonna come for you. This whole little witchcraft thing is just one of the many. This is part 13 to my witchcraft experience. So for y'all who don't know, L was my spiritual advisor. Mid-30s, dark-skinned woman from Texas that knew her shit. Every time we spoke, she got my ass. Because she knew that I was stronger than this girl, I just wasn't applying myself the way I should have. So, I get on the phone with L, and L reveals to me, and I remember this. She said that this woman was in fact an entity. She didn't even refer to her as a person. She said that this woman is an entity. An entity that fed off of low vibrations, which is why my hate kept this thing going for so long. She was feeding off of it. She would put separation spells on me and my wife and then feed off the chaos. She also told me that this entity was an entity similar to that of Candyman. The more I thought about her, the more I said her name, the more I feared her, the more power I gave her. This whole consultation was over the phone. If I had the text messages, I would upload them. And if L still did business for the public, I would get her on a phone call and have her in this video. But she no longer does business for the public. She said she did it for 7 years and she was tired. I don't blame her. So she told me to stop saying this woman's name. Told me to tell my wife, stop saying her name. Told me to stop being afraid of her. And told me to stop thinking about her. She then proceeded to say that this woman was a high-ranking enchantress. Yes, she was a high-ranking dark entity. A high-ranking demon, yeah. So after that, she did the cord cutting. Told me she'd let me know if there was any complications. I had a dream later on, homie, that this woman saw what was going on, saw the people praying for me, and saw L doing this cord cutting, and she realized that she was outnumbered and outmatched. So she backed away for the moment. But what I also saw was this woman committing suicide, doing a destiny swap spell, and jumping into another body to try to come at me again from a different vessel. I ain't gonna lie to you, homie, I was scared. But I realized that she fed off of fear, and that I had to get out of this low vibrational state if I wanted to defeat this woman. Having that cord cutting done meant nothing if I was still gonna be in this low vibrational state. So a couple days later, and the cord cutting was done. The feelings were different. It felt like somebody was on the outside of my spirit knocking on the door trying to get in. She was no longer inside. So imagine being in your living room and somebody knocking on your door all day. It's gonna aggravate you, but you don't have to let them in. That's essentially what it felt like. It almost felt like I felt her circling my spirit, just looking for a way in. I felt that 25/8, just something circling me from the outside, trying to find a way in. It obviously made things complicated, but it was simple. Just don't sink into that low vibrational state and you'll be fine. So fast forward, my wife, she moves back in. We trying this thing. I done laid with somebody else, she done laid with somebody else. We trying to get through this thing. Wife moved back in, made me throw away the mattress me and that girl was laying on, made me throw away the sheets, any gift she gave me, and she made me throw away the couches too. And I had a Tempur-Pedic mattress. Boy, I love that mattress. Oh my goodness. But I had to throw it away. But here's the thing, homie. That woman could no longer get to me, true. So instead of pursuing me, she pursued my union, my marriage. She put separation spells on my marriage often. And yes, me and my wife fought because I forgave my wife, but my wife ain't forgive me so quickly. So she was in fact still in that low vibrational state. It took us some time to get out of there. And you can bet that woman preyed on her every chance she got. My wife saw me screwing that woman every night, and she stayed angry. Me and her fought almost every day. I remember I was sitting on the couch in a robe. This robe behind me, my wife bought me that robe. It has my name on the back. This woman approached me while I'm sitting on the couch playing the game in my robe. She told me to take it off. I said, what? She said, take off the damn robe. You was fucking that bitch in that robe. I say, no, I wasn't. That's not true. This girl grabbed me, tried to snatch my body out of the damn robe. We tore that house up, boy. Until I finally just told her, this woman is preying off of your insecurities. I need you to find it within yourself to please forgive me as I have forgiven you, because this low vibrational mess that we done created, it's gonna be the death of us if we keep on. So fast forward, man, we working through things. It's not easy whatsoever. And yes, I told my wife everything. She sat me down and she went through a laundry list of questions. Did you eat out? How many times did y'all fuck a day? Did you spend money on her? Did she spend money on you? Did y'all make sex tapes? The whole nine. And the more I answered, the angrier she got. Kind of reminded me of what my mama said. She said the problem is she asks you for the truth and you tell her the truth. But I also told my wife when I met her, I will never lie to you. If you ask me, I'll always tell you. And that's what it was. And that was the damn problem. So we ended up both doing cord cuttings. She did one from that dude and I did one from that girl. It was difficult to work on our marriage. Meanwhile, be parents. Meanwhile, I'm in the military and we 4 or 5 hours away from our parents. But we worked on it day by day. And we finally got into a rhythm of things, man. We began to joke about the mess that had happened. She joked about me laying with that girl. I joked about her laying with that guy. And we got over it. The moment we got over it, I started to have sexual dreams about this woman. She was pulling on my energy again, trying to manifest me. So I would be laying in the bed with my wife, laying beside my wife, dreaming about having sex with this damn woman. That obviously ain't cool. So I had to do another cord cutting. Pray and release all things that did not serve me, that kept me angry or kept me in a low vibrational state. So boom, everything's cool. Dealt with an attack here and there, but it wasn't nothing I couldn't handle. Now keep in mind I was in the military at this time, and my contract was ending. And I am a man that plans ahead of time. So the year prior to this, I had planned to get out of the military, buy some land, buy a house, and move to a specific location. I'm already talking to realtors. I'm already visiting houses. I already got money saved up. And I had a 787 for a credit score. That was the most important thing to me at that time. If you're grown, then you know. With an excellent credit score, you can get whatever the hell you want. Cash ain't king, credit is. I co-signed for my wife's vehicle. And during this mess between me and my wife, I was completely unaware that she was not paying for her car note that was tied to my name. So I got an email one day saying that my credit score had dropped over 130 points. And there was multiple late payments on my credit file, all due to my wife. I went from having an exceptional credit score to having a poor credit score. When you buying a house, From what I was told, you can't have late payments within a year. And I just now had multiple. Words cannot express how livid I got. I no longer could get the house. I no longer could get pre-approved for the amount that I wanted. Couldn't get the land. I had to use the money that I had saved up for the house to put towards the debt that she had created for this damn car. In that moment, every reason why I hated that woman revisited me. A year's worth of planning went to shit because of that woman. The money I had saved up, gone. The plans I had, gone. I inadvertently let hate back in. I tried my damnedest to work it through in my spirit. But every time I read that email, every time I checked my credit score, every time I realized the reality of my current situation, I got livid. I told my wife, I fucking hate you. I stayed up all night and I cried, and I jumped right back into my madness. I told my wife to get her shit and go back to her mama's house. I didn't want to see her. After she left, the vision started back. The cravings began, and I had let hatred back in. Tried my best to let it go and forgive my wife. I was absolutely fucking livid. And that woman knew. I began to feel that woman again. Began to crave that woman again. Began to see her in my dreams. And that anger replayed in my head time after time again. But in the midst of my madness, I look outside one day and loved y'all Lacy's cars out there, sitting in front of my house. Part 14 on the way. This just to show y'all the message that I sent her. When was this? June 15th. I think I uploaded the first video shortly after that. But yeah, this is what I sent her. And you can see that she said she no longer offers services to the public. Told me I could upload her and tag her, but she deleted all of her social media. So it's real difficult to tag her when the shit don't exist. But she said she was tired, so I understand that. This is part 14 to my witchcraft experience. So in the midst of my madness, coming to terms with what my wife just did regarding my credit score, I see this girl's car sitting outside my apartment. Now I'm wrestling with my thoughts trying to figure out why this woman in front of my house. Didn't see anybody get out. They just sitting there. Sat there for a couple hours, and then eventually they left. Don't know what she was doing, but it got my attention. So about 2 weeks go by. These 2 weeks felt like absolute torment. During those 2 weeks I did not talk to her, but all I saw in my head was her. Us having sex, her visiting me in my dreams, smelled all over my house, and my prayers were being blocked again. Felt like I was back at square one. That's truly because I had done let so much damn hate in. When I tell you I was 38 hot, absolutely livid about my credit score, about what my wife had did to my credit score. I don't even think words can explain it, man. With all that hate that I was exhibiting, this woman had enough to have a field day with my spirit. And that she did. I would have wet dreams about this woman damn near every night. Meanwhile, I'm fighting her. I'm fasting. I'm still trying to pray even though they being blocked. Making sure to keep my house clean. And I'm trying my best to stay sane. Every so often, that dude that I met at the cologne shop, the one that wanted to put in some work for me, he'll reach out to me, asking me the same question. You good, bro? You got any work for me? It's almost like the devil was trying to get me to crack under pressure and tell this man yes. I was very, very tempted to tell him, hell yeah, go handle your business, Lime. But I knew the consequences of that. Each day, the visions got worse. The feelings got worse. It got to the point to where I was literally finna go check into a mental institution. I sat on the couch with my file loaded, and I thought about killing myself. It got to the point to where it was just too much. Me and my wife had been through so much. I wanted to X this woman out, but that's exactly what the devil wanted from me. I was catching hell at work. I had felony charges pending against me at this time as well. My money was all fucked up. I honest to God believed that this woman was causing my life to be in complete chaos as a consequence for not giving her what she wanted. So yeah, I contemplated suicide. Thought about it, then I got right back to being homicidal. I'm back riding around the city again, in my car, and I'm looking for Lil' Mama. But it's funny because this is how love draw spells work. I would start off angry, livid, and then it'll get replaced by a vision of us having sex. A vision of something sweet that she did for me. Something sweet that she said to me. And in the midst of me riding around the city looking for this girl, I forgot why I was out. Literally lost track of what I was going to do. And she texted me, Hey, I'm on your side of town. I'm finna come by and see you. My mind at that point was flooded with so many memories of us having sex, of all the sweet things she did for me and all of that. I text that girl back and I said, okay, I'll be home. So as I'm driving back home, I see an angel number on somebody's license plate in front of me at a red light. For y'all who don't know, angel numbers are simply numbers that the angels use to communicate with you. For example, 333, 444, 222, things like that. But for me, different numbers resonate with me. The angel number I saw was 7911, 7911. And what was so unique about that number was that it was the last 4 digits of my wife's phone number at the time. Now I'm headed back to the crib to see this girl, and I ain't seen her in a little minute. And the last 4 numbers of my wife's phone number pop up as an angel number. So I'm at a red light. I pull out my phone and I look it up. I remember specifically what it stood for. 7911 was a warning. A warning that what I was about to do was a mistake and I was going to regret it. I remember in that moment my heart beating really, really fast and me trying to snap out of it. But every logical thought I had was replaced with desire for that woman. Literally had that feeling of somebody being inside of my head, splitting my mind in two and controlling my thoughts. It was a small part of me still pulling and tugging. But with all that hate in me, I wasn't gonna be able to fight off no demon. So I head home and this girl pulls up. She has one of her kids with her. The little girl runs in and she hugs me. She says, I miss you, Daddy. It's been a long time. I knew I was gonna see you again. My stomach dropped in my ass. I had another little girl calling me Daddy. My daughter is the only little girl that calls me Daddy. And I love that girl to death. Lovejoy Lacy comes in and she puts on cartoons for the little girl. Little girl gets off of me. She starts watching the cartoons. Lovejoy Lacy then grabbed me by my hand and started walking me towards my bedroom. As I'm going back to that bedroom, my heart is beating out of my chest. Feels like something inside of me is screaming. My whole body heat up and I start feeling dizzy. Start feeling like I gotta vomit. When I crossed the threshold of my bedroom, it felt like my spirit exited my body and something else jumped into my body and my whole body went numb. The only thing that I remember being active, honestly, is my eyes. It's almost like my body was numb, my mind was dormant, and all I could do was see what was going on. It literally felt like something else was controlling my body. And this was the first time I had felt this. Whatever this woman was doing was getting stronger and stronger. She had sex with me. This sex was different from any sex we had had. The way I was just laying there home, it had to feel like she was fucking a dead body. And I'm looking at her with these wide eyes, looking like I'm fucking terrified and scared to death. Because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, what's inside of me, why does it feel like my spirit is sitting outside of my door and something else is inside of me. And I could tell she knew something was up. Her energy was off, but she ain't give a fuck. She looking at me, she fucking me, and she just constantly saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. While she having sex with me, I remember how I felt. I'm not gonna lie to you, homie, it felt like I was being raped. It's like I wanted it to stop and I wanted to fight it, but I couldn't. My whole body was numb. It almost felt like I was being held down by something. I remember feeling dirty, real dirty while it was going on. So she finishes. She lays on my chest and everything is silent. She laying on my chest, drawing sigils on my chest. Now keep in mind, my wife's name is tattooed on my chest. I didn't know it back then, but now I do know. She was drawing sigils over my wife's name on my chest. She came over there, manipulated me, fucked me, and then put another spell on my wife, or me and my wife's union. She got up and she left. When she left, homie, I remember just laying in the bed feeling awful. Just kept asking myself, boy, what did you just do? That ain't feel right. You let something in, homie. And I think that something is still here. I just had this overwhelming feeling of, you just made a big mistake, homie. So I got up and I went to lock the door after she left. The moment I left my bedroom, I felt whatever that was inside me leave. It left and my spirit jumped back in my body. It was almost as if when we went in my bedroom, my spirit wasn't allowed to be in that bedroom with me and that girl. Only me, only my vessel, that entity that was in me and her. The moment my spirit jumped back in my body, I immediately started to cry. It was almost like I could not hold it back, homie. My whole body was sore, my mouth was dry, I had to vomit, and I felt real weak. Something had definitely been in my body. Those are all symptoms of possession, or something that ain't supposed to be in your body, inhabiting your body. So of course I was scared. So I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm doing research trying to figure out what's going on. I reached out to Elle and I spoke to her about some stuff. And she also informed me that yet again, she told me that this woman in particular, Lovejoy Lacy, had searched lifetimes specifically for me. So her obsession was deeper than anything I could ever imagine. Told about something inhabiting my body. She just told me to continue doing cord cutting spells. So with the anger towards my wife, the confusion towards Lovejoy Lacy, I ended up cursing Lovejoy Lacy out. I told her to take these spells off of me and that I was done with her. She cried, cursed me out, told me I was always leaving her and that she hated how I was always leaving her. Told her I didn't give a fuck. Couple days go by, I realized I had to tell my wife that I had just had sex with this girl because me and her was working on reconciling things, and witchcraft or not, it still happened. I was real nervous about telling this woman, man, but I did. She cried, she cursed me out, and I tried to explain to her like that shit was different. That was unnatural and it was something else to it. She didn't want to hear it in a moment, but we separated again. So fast forward a few weeks later, I began to have dreams that this woman is pregnant. Night after night, I ignored them. I ignored them until my wife called me and she told me that she had a dream that this woman was pregnant with my baby. At that point, I was scared shitless. My wife told me, go find out if that girl pregnant. And if she is, we are done. So I'm nervous as hell. Couple days go by, I finally work up the courage to text this woman. Part 15 on the way. The dream. So this is part 15 to my witchcraft experience. So me and my wife had this vision that this woman was pregnant. So I decided to reach out to this woman pertaining to this vision. I text her and I just ask her, hey, how are you? Keep in mind I had them cussed out and told her I was done with it after that incident. Didn't like the way it went down, didn't like how I felt, none of that. So we fell out on a rather bitter note. So she texts me back and tells me she's fine. I ask her, is there anything you want to tell me? She says no. I asked her, is there anything new that I should know? She says no. I'm trying to see if she gonna tell me the truth without me just asking for it, because I know she pregnant. So I tell her, okay, cool. I had a vision that you was pregnant. Is there anything you want to tell me pertaining to that? This woman texts me back and says, I'm 6 weeks pregnant. I say, lil' mama, you didn't think to tell me that? You didn't think that that was important information to tell me? She says, you had cussed me out and cut me off, remember? I said, yeah, I do. And I said, nonetheless, you should have let me know that you was pregnant. I don't care that we on bad terms. You have my child growing inside of your stomach, do you not? She said, yes. And I said, well, the mature thing to do, the responsible thing, the adult thing to do was to let me know that you was pregnant. She says, you don't have to worry about it. I got it. You hate me, and I didn't want to bother you because you hated me. And I said, girl, I understand I told you that, but it's bigger than me and you now. Irregardless of any of that, now I know. I told her to call me. She tells me she's busy on the way to the abortion clinic. I said, girl, how the hell you gonna get pregnant, not let me know something, then be on the way to the abortion clinic and not even consult with me before you do it? She just keeps going on and on about, you told me you hated me, you told me you didn't want me. So enjoy your life, don't worry about me, I'ma take care of it. I'll pay the money and everything. And all I really want to do is have a conversation with the girl. I at least want to be on the phone with her while she's doing it if she don't want me to show up with her. I personally think it's selfish to get a woman pregnant and then abandon her. Even in my situation, I didn't want to do it like that. So she don't text me back. A couple hours later, she texts me and she says, it's done. The baby's gone. Then she proceeds to tell me that she did not tell me ahead of time because she knew that if she told me, I would have convinced her to keep it. The doctors also told her that it was going to be an ectopic pregnancy and that the pregnancy would have killed her. Not gonna lie, I was pissed, but I couldn't do anything about it. She asked me not to bring it up anymore because she felt terrible about it. Truth is, I don't believe in abortion. Was I happy about the way it went down? Hell no. But in the back of my head, I knew that the way it went down was best. I hated myself for a long time after that. And she would text me and tell me that that baby was stalking her. that that child was hunting her, that she would see that child in her dreams every night, that it would come and visit her and torment her. Me on the other end, I felt absolutely horrible about what happened and the way it went down. I asked God to forgive me. I asked my wife to forgive me. I asked that child to forgive me, and then I had to have myself forgive me. After all of that, I made a promise to myself that I would never put another one of my children in a predicament like that one again. So back then I wasn't aware, but now that I'm thinking back on it and I'm looking back on it, whatever jumped in me before I went in my bedroom, I think she was aware of what was going on. I think whatever inhabited my body was intended to get her pregnant. I do believe that that child was supposed to be the new vessel for whatever thing she was doing work with. I think that whatever that thing was, it wanted a physical form. And I think that it possessed my body. It made sure she got pregnant to ensure that it would have a physical form to be born into. I think that that child that introduced itself to us all the months back was that thing masquerading as a child, and it was a sign to her that it was on the way and that it wanted to be born. So I do in fact think that this girl was pregnant with the damn demon. And I think that she knew that. And I think somewhere along the line she changed her mind and she knew exactly what this thing was, and she didn't want to give birth to it because the doctors told her that if she gave birth, it would have been an ectopic pregnancy, meaning that most likely in order for this thing to be birthed, she would have had to die. So a part of the karma for working with whatever entity this was, I do think the ultimate consequence was death. This thing wanted to be born, and in order for something to live, something must die. The universe is all about balance, and I don't think that she was willing to make that sacrifice. I don't know what the hell that woman was trying to accomplish exactly. I don't know what that thing was, and I don't know the details of the contract that she signed with this thing. But I do know something jumped in me that day, and I know she left that damn house pregnant. And I do know that that thing growing inside of her was not a regular baby. It took me a long time to forgive myself for that, to forgive myself for allowing that situation to happen. Witchcraft or no witchcraft, I felt like I should have been stronger. I felt like I shouldn't have allowed hate to have such a control over me that it led me right to the doorstep of the damn devil. Hate is so abundant in the world. So many reasons to hate people, to hate things. So many reasons to hate this life. But there's also so many reasons to love things, to love this life, and to love people. So fast forward, I asked this woman to meet up with me. I wanted to see some paperwork, something, at least meet the damn doctor that did the abortion so I know that she was actually pregnant, so I know that everything is finalized. Because what I don't want to happen is I move away from North Carolina and you know, she pop up years later with a damn toddler talking about, you know, here's your son. I wanted to confirm some things. Ironically, God told me no. He gave me a vision of the baby being dead. And he gave my wife a vision of a dead baby falling from the sky and landing in front of her feet. He told me, leave it alone. Leave her alone. The situation is over. And then he told me, you are free from this woman. God told me, if you go back, I will kill you. And before I kill you, nothing that you do will prosper. You will live and nothing you do, invest in, or touch will prosper. So going back to this woman would curse me. My wife would leave me, and I would be left to be cursed. And with my death and my decision, a generational curse would be placed upon my bloodline. God told me all of this. It was that deep. So when I heard all that, I said, okay, and I ain't go back. I ain't gonna lie, I had a whole lot of questions and I was left on a cliffhanger. I wanted to know what that child was, who the entity this girl was working with was. What was it exactly that they was planning? What was gonna happen to me? Why she chose me? But God told me, it don't matter. You're free and it's over. Let it be. So I did. Fast forward, my military contract is over and I move out of North Carolina. Change my number. I block Lil Mama on all social media. And I leave North Carolina behind. Part 16 on the way. The final test. So this is part 16 to my witchcraft experience. So I moved out of North Carolina. I changed my number. I blocked Lil Mama on every social media platform I could think of. Homie, it felt good to leave that woman alone. Felt good to be out of that mess. Got my DD 214 and I went to go visit my mama. So I stayed with my mama a few weeks until my apartment got ready. Me and my wife working on things, spending time with my family, playing with my kids. Life is good. So fast forward, I get my apartment. God lets me know that this woman is still trying to manifest me. But the only way she can have access to me is if I give her access. So I'll still feel her, I'll still have the thoughts, I'll still have some of the cravings. But ultimately, she cannot have the access she had unless I give her consent, unless I give in to it. So the best way to describe it is, imagine sitting in your living room and somebody just keep knocking at your door. You trying to watch TV, but somebody just keep knocking at your door. You ain't got to get up and open the door and cuss them out. You ain't got to get up and open the door at all. You know what I'm saying? You can tell them, get away from my door. But ultimately, it's up to you whether you open the door or not. It's aggravating, but you don't have to open the door. That's essentially what it felt like whenever this woman was trying to manifest me. So she couldn't get to me. I guess her spirit team told her that I was with my wife. So she started putting separation spells on us. We would fight, go at it, until God told me, do not give this woman any ammunition. So I would fast and I would pray with my wife. We would get over it. So then she reverted back to putting spells on me, trying to manifest me, make me crave her. But here's the thing though, man. It got to a point to where the cravings that used to be for her, they started to be for my wife. So that obsessive, crazy sex that we used to have, I started craving that for my wife. And I put it on her ass. And she loved every damn bit of it. She brought it up to her spiritual advisor, and she confirmed that the spell was in fact working against the girl. Because I was meant to be with my wife, that's naturally who I was craving. I'm gonna tell you this right here, homie. Sex when you under witchcraft or you under a love spell, that shit is demonic. That goddamn dick don't get soft. That bitch just keep going and going and going. Anywho, we got through that. Every time she tried to manifest me or put separation spells on my union, we would fast and we pray. If you thinking she got tired, hell no. Eventually she couldn't get in no more. Then I had a vision that this woman got killed. I had a vision that her best friend set her up and she got killed. I didn't reveal it in the beginning, but I'll reveal it now. So what Roi Lacy did for a living, she had her own pharmaceutical business, if you catch my drift. She was very good at it and she was very plugged in. So in the vision, she got caught up. They kicked in the door because her best friend gave 12 to drop. Out of envy, out of jealousy. Typical street shit. Do I know what happened to her? No. God told me to leave it alone, so I did. So some months go by, things are cool. So early on, I told y'all about a dream I had about this woman destiny swapping. So peep this. I had a dream that a light-skinned woman moved directly across from me. This light-skinned woman made music, and she was essentially made in my image, and that the devil had sent her on a mission to destroy what me and my wife had. And it was also revealed to me that it was the same spirit that was in that woman. So fast forward, I get back home from grocery shopping. Pull up in the parking lot, get out, walking towards my apartment. Tell me why in the hell a light-skinned woman comes running down the stairs from the exact same apartment that I saw in the dream. Looks the exact same way that I saw in the dream. She comes running down the damn stairs talking about, can she borrow some tissue? It was almost if this woman had been waiting for me to arrive. The parking lot ain't nowhere near where her windows are. She can't see the parking lot from where her apartment is. So for her to know I was in that parking lot at that time just to run out and ask for some tissue, she had to been either spiritually advised or it had to be quote unquote a coincidence, which I don't believe in. So I told her, yeah, hold on, I'll get you some tissue. I go in the house, I get her a roll of tissue. The moment I gave her this tissue and my hand and her hand connected, I heard God tell me, this is her. Watch out. I looked this woman in her eyes and it's almost like the spirit said, hey, I ain't forgot about you. Boy, when I tell you I almost shit it, I got so damn nervous, boy. went to shaking and stuttering, this woman began to introduce herself. Hey, I'm such and such. I'm new here. I stay up there. Where are you from? If you ever want to hang out, I'm here. I'm looking at her, nervous as a fuck. All I said was, okay. I done led this woman to my damn apartment. She know where I stay. She know what truck I drive. But then I heard God tell me again, if you give in to fear, she'll have access to you. If you gonna trust me, trust me. So I had to let all that go and trust in God. Now here's the funny thing about this woman, dog. For one, I was pissed off that she was still pursuing me. Same spirit, different body, just like I saw in the dreams. So I'm fucked up off of that. And yes, I had to tell my wife. She was pissed the hell off. Every time I pulled in the driveway, she was leaving the driveway. Every time I was leaving the house, she was going in the house. Every time I'm going in the house, she coming out of the house. A lot of times when I stepped outside, I saw her. And I heard God tell me, as long as y'all remain opposites, you'll be fine. If it ever gets to a point to where she's coming and you coming, where she's arriving and you arriving, it means you're doing something wrong. It means she's getting closer to you. And there were days when it was like that, and I had to get right. It means I wasn't as grounded as I thought I was. But for the most part, it remained opposite. Every time I saw this woman, my stomach flipped upside down, homie. And yes, I could see that spirit on that girl. I was damn dumbfounded at how powerful this woman was and just how determined she was, to the point to where she jumping vessels just to get closer to me. I'm thinking, how the hell she find me? Who's giving her this information? But God told me, if you gon' believe in me, then stand on that. If I'm with you, I'm with you. So I did just that, man. The whole back and forth, me seeing her, her seeing me, her coming, I'm going, whatever, that lasted for a few months. And I had to truly learn. Get your shit together, boy. You protected, you grounded, you alright. And eventually, I just stopped seeing her. It's like she disappeared, man. And that was the last that I saw of Roi Lacy. And here's another thing, man. I barely check my notifications on YouTube. I don't get notified when people subscribe to me like that. So I'm going through my notifications, man. And tell me why I see that Roi Lacy has subscribed to my freaking YouTube channel a few months prior. Now on YouTube, you can't block people. You can only restrict their comments, but you can't stop them from watching your shit. When I saw that, I almost shitted. It's almost like she was taunting me, saying, I'm still watching you. That shit is just so crazy to me, dog. But again, God told me, you protect it, stand on business, and act like it. So I did just that. Now what comes next was the healing journey. And the healing journey is what I'm going to talk about next. Part 17 on the way. This is part 17 to my witchcraft experience. I know it done been a while, but baby, I'm here to give it to you. We're gonna name this chapter, The Reconnection with God. And this one gonna be a little different. I ain't gonna be talking, I'm gonna be praying. Now, I typically don't let nobody in on my prayers, but God put it on my heart to pray. Not necessarily with y'all, not necessarily for y'all, but just to pray in front of y'all. Now, before I begin, I don't pray like everybody else. It may sound unorthodox to y'all, but that's okay. So enough of the yip yap. You ready? Let's go. Heavenly Father, even though the experience was traumatic, even though it was, in my opinion, if not the most worst experience of my life, then definitely one of them. It did make me a stronger man. It made me a more aware man. It made me more mindful of where I step, who I invest in, who I deal with. It was an experience that surely made me wiser. I can't even sit here in front like the knowledge I have now, I could have gotten any other way other than going through it. Certain things you can't read about it. Certain things you can't learn in the classroom, you just have to do it. And this was one of those things. I had to endure so that others wouldn't have to. I endured a whole lot of pain, a whole lot of demonic suffering, spiritual warfare, so that others can be spared from it simply by me telling them the things to look for, the signs. And even though I went through a lot, I did make it out. And I'm grateful for that. It took me a while to understand why you allowed that to happen to me. I thought that I was doing good. I was faithful. I was obedient. I prayed before I did anything, before I purchased a car, before I went to any event. I came to you first, before I invested in anybody, friend or relationship-wise. I came to you. So when you allowed that to happen, I did feel betrayed. I felt betrayed, and I was angry at you for a long time until you finally explained to me why you allowed it to happen. I felt like Job when you allowed the devil to plague him. I know he was confused as well. Why is this happening to me? Out of everybody, you punish the one that actually is obedient to you? There's people out here sinning, doing God knows what, blasphemy, blatantly disrespecting you, and the one that's obedient, you punish. But I had the wrong mindset. It wasn't a punishment. It would later become my testimony. It would later become something that I teach to thousands, to millions, to help people understand. And even though I was too angry to see it back then, I'm clear-headed now, and I'm able to see that it did happen for a reason, and how many people that I'm able to touch now because of it. So many people reach out to me and tell me of their experiences, and it's crazy because in the beginning I thought that nobody would believe me. I thought that nobody would understand. I thought that they thought I was crazy. But then I realized they thought I was crazy before, without the witchcraft. So me telling it wouldn't make a difference. It wouldn't make a difference, you know. When people want to believe something about you, they believe it. So if people want to believe you crazy, they gonna believe you crazy. So I didn't mind. When I healed from it, I told the story. And to my surprise, it reached hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions. I'm grateful for what's to come. I'm grateful to be able to minister to so many people. I'm grateful to be able to guide so many people away from it, to be able to give advice to people to help them get out of situations. I'm grateful. And I thank you for bringing me out on the other side in a clean, sane manner. I didn't trust nobody for a long time after that, man, for good reasons. I ain't let nobody touch me, you know what I'm saying? But now, I understand so many things that I didn't understand back then. So many things about what you allow in your body, in your spirit. We have to be mindful of our thoughts, mindful of our words. When I confessed aloud that I hated my wife, it was a doorway. The thing got let in. When that woman picked up my hand and wrote that sigil in my hand, she used that doorway to put something on me. The first time we had sex, and she bled all over me, and she marked up my house with her blood, another covenant was made. 2 covenants was made. Blood covenant and a sex covenant. I learned about the occult. I learned more about you. I learned about witchcraft. I learned about demons. I learned about angels. I learned so many things just by going through that. And I also met a whole lot of demons. But I met a whole lot of you, Lord. Them demons wasn't the only thing that was coming to visit me. Them demons and devils wasn't the only thing that I met. And just as they was attacking me, you were ministering to me. It could have been a whole lot more worse than it was. Lord knows little mama tried to kill me, tried to kill my wife, but it didn't prosper. And for that, I thank you. I sometimes go back and think to myself, this is such a crazy testimony. There are people now that don't even believe it, and I can't blame them. It's crazy. From the beginning to the end, and who does that stuff, man? Who does that stuff? And even the stories I tell now with my Love, Lust, and Witchcraft series, they're not even as crazy as what happened to me. It's crazy. But nonetheless, I'm so fortunate to be able to go through something so heinous and make it out alive, because there were so many before me, and will probably be some after me, that go through it that don't make it out. So thank you. Thank you. I ain't gonna say thank you for taking me through it, cause I ain't there yet. But thank you for getting me out of it. Thank you for helping me heal so I can sit here and minister to these people. Thank you for helping me forgive my wife. Thank you for helping my wife forgive me. Thank you for helping me forgive me. Thank you. Thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Lacy, I've been sweet on you. Something going on that got me sweet on you. Spirit keeps saying I should be leaving you. Leaving you alone, I've been meaning to. Something going on that got me sweet on you. Something going on that got me sweet on you. Love your Lacy, love your Lacy. Something going on that got me sweet on you. Love your Lacy, love your Lacy. Manifested me and driving me crazy. Love your Lacy, love your Lacy. Manifested me and driving me crazy. Love your Lacy, love your Lacy. Manifested me and driving me crazy. Love your Lacy, love your Lacy. Don't you worry, God see you, baby. Again, you would never have me. So more to be, baby, so more to be. Again, you would never have me. So more to be, baby, so more to be.
I'm never coming back to you.